Revolution Network, our mission is healthy, ethical, and sustainable food for everyone who eats. We want kids to learn about healthy food in school. We want doctors to learn how nutrition impacts health in medical school. We want the routine use of antibiotics banned from factory farms. We want a world where everyone, regardless of their ethnic or economic background, has knowledge of and access to healthy food for their family. We want a world in which heart disease, cancer, Alzheimer's, obesity, and diabetes are rare, and in which vibrant health is the status quo. We're spreading the word and standing for change. Join this movement and support this mission. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome back to day 3. Welcome forward to day 3. We are so glad you're here. If you're just joining us for the first time today, you're in the right place, and you can catch up with the replays from days 1 and 2 later. If you've been with us for the last 2 days, welcome back, and I am so glad you're here. For those of you who have been with us since Friday or even yesterday, you showed up not knowing exactly what this weekend would give you. Now you're beginning to find out. So take a moment to feel what it has meant to you so far. Maybe drop a word in the comments right now about how you're feeling as we head into this final day. It's going to be an incredible day, maybe a landmark day for many of you, and I am thrilled that you are here, and I cannot wait to share it all with you. So go ahead and just drop a word or two, what it's been like for you, what you are learning, what it means to be here. And I can't wait to read some of the comments here. Holly says hi from Michigan. Michelle also from Michigan. Walil from Alexandria, Virginia. Nathaniel from South Carolina. Stephanie from New Hampshire. Patrizia from Santa Cruz, California. I'm in Santa Cruz too. Cheryl from White River, Arizona. Marjan from the Netherlands says, I want to say thanks to Ocean and Tracy for providing this workshop. Carolyn from True North Healing Center. How wonderful that you're here while you're in a healing journey yourself, Carolyn. We're so grateful that you're part of this with us. And Maryland, Wendy, Mary, Southern California. Rebecca said inspirational. Cheryl said invigorated. Shannon said empowered. All right. Well, we're so glad you're all here. It's a joy to share this with you. And I want to acknowledge something before we go further. Showing up 3 mornings in a row, or 3 afternoons in a row, or 3 evenings in a row, depending on your time zone, is something. This is your sacred time. This is your sacred attention. You are choosing to dedicate it here. You could have caught up on errands or spent time doing any number of other things, but you're here. And I want to thank you for that commitment and that dedication and that curiosity. That tells me something about you already, even before we've started the day. Now, for a little context, in case you don't know, I'm Ocean Robbins. I'm co-founder and CEO of Food Revolution Network. We're a global community of more than 1 million members in more than 160 countries. And I want to share a little bit more about who we are. So our mission is healthy, ethical, sustainable food for all. We were founded in 2012. We've built a global community that's rooted in a belief that food should be nourishing for our bodies, it should be sustainable for our planet, and it should be an expression of our values. Let me take you on a quick recap of some of where we've been. So on day 1, we made the case, the science, the evidence, the human stories of what it looks like when someone lives this work from the inside out. On day 2, we went inside the psychology of change. You saw what coaching actually looks like and sounds like. Maybe you even felt something shift, not just intellectually, but in how you see yourself and what you might be capable of. Now today, I want to ask you to do one more thing with me. I want you to think of the person, some person in your life, you may have pictured this on day 1, who's struggling, who you love, who doesn't yet believe things could be different for them. Maybe they're in pain. Maybe they've been in pain for a long time. And they don't have a lot of hope. Bring them to your mind right now. And here's what I want you to sit with. Everything you've learned so far, the science, the coaching skills, none of it does that person any good sitting in your notes. It only matters if someone actually carries it to them. And the question underneath today is simple. Are you willing to be the one who does? I'm not asking you to decide anything right now. I'm just asking you to let that question sit next to you for today's workshop and maybe beyond. Because the truth is that at the end of the day, it's not how much we know that changes the world. It's what we do with that knowledge. Today, we're going to focus more on the doing part. And here's what I want to ask of you before we bring in our faculty. After 2 days of this, many of you know more about how to fill the gap between what people need and what they're getting than you maybe did on Friday morning. You've seen what coaching can do. You've seen the power of diet and lifestyle. You've begun to explore a version of it for yourself in the workbook if you've chosen to engage that way. So sit with this question. What would it look like for you to become one of the people who actually does this work, whether professionally or as a sense of purpose and calling, not someday, but starting now? And I want to invite you to picture yourself a year from today at our next workshop next year, having committed to this, having deepened your own understanding, having used what you know to help the people around you. What would that feel like? Go ahead and share some words about that if you like in the comment section on the broadcast page. Now, today we're going to hear from Melinda Cohen, who is a business coach, a systems expert, and co-founder of the Coaches Console. Melinda has helped coaches all over the world get out of the overwhelm and into action with simple, effective systems and the mindset shifts that make real progress possible. We'll be bringing her up in a little bit here. As we go through the day, please share your comments and ask your questions anytime in the comment section on the broadcast page. You can share your takeaways, your breakthroughs, what this means in your life, and also, of course, ask questions and respond to other folks. Replays of all 3 days will be available after we finish today, and recording links will be sent to everybody who is registered for the workshop. And there's a workbook. As a loving reminder, we created a workbook for you to capture key takeaways and resources and make notes. And that link is also on the broadcast page. And now I want to introduce Tracy Garrigan for those of you who haven't met her yet. Tracy is a national board certified health and wellness coach with over 16 years experience. She has coached clients around the world. She's partnered with medical wellness centers. And in 2023, she founded what has become our nutrition and lifestyle coaching certificate. Tracy is brilliant and she's got a huge heart. And Tracy, take it away.
Thank you so much, Ocean. And greetings, everybody. Thanks for either coming back or showing up today. It is really good to be in this energy with all of you, no matter where you are in the world. I always love coming together with this community. I want to start by sharing something that I've experienced more than once when it comes to this kind of training, certificate programs in general. A lot of them stop supporting you the moment you get your certificate. It's a here is your paper and good luck kind of experience. And while it's true that in life no one can do something for you, we don't leave you. So we built the nutrition and lifestyle coaching certificate very differently because we wanted to have a full pillar dedicated entirely to what happens after you're certified with us as a bonus. We call this the impact pillar. Pillar 3 is built around the 3 most common real ways that coaches enter this field, whether that's building their own practice as an entrepreneur or stepping into some existing healthcare or wellness role. And the third is to create change at a community level. We have a lot of people that come to us because they really want to make a real difference in their communities, whether that's, improving the school lunch program or policy in their town, nursing homes. There's just, for every person that joins this program, they have a different intention. And all of this is not theory. We give you the real tools to help you actually launch not just the ideas about launching. And we're going to share more about that later today when we get deeper into talking about this program. So a few more logistics before we bring on our first presenters. Same as the last couple of days, the comment streams and the broadcast page will stay open the whole time. Go ahead and drop comments, ask your questions, and we'll engage with you there. We will try to answer as much live as we can. And again, Ocean already mentioned the workbook. Please go ahead and have that at the ready to write down your thoughts in as well. Nothing shared in this workshop is ever medical advice. So if you or someone that you work with has a need that's outside of our scope, please consult a qualified expert. And with that, I am going to hand things back to someone who truly needs no introduction to this community, but I'm going to go ahead and try to give him one anyway. Ocean Robbins is going to make the case for why coaches like you are on the front lines of one of the most important movements of our time. Truly. Why the healthcare system alone can't solve the chronic disease crisis that we're facing, and why you can fit into closing that gap. He's also going to touch on something many of you have been wondering about. What does AI have to do with this? What does it actually mean for the future of coaching? And how could you use it with integrity rather than letting it replace that very human connection that makes this work matter so deeply? So I'd like to welcome back Ocean Robbins.
Well, thank you, Tracy. All right. So in a couple hours, Tracy and I are going to walk you through the Nutrition and Lifestyle Coaching Certificate, and we will invite you to enroll. So everything I'm about to share with you serves a purpose. I want to make the case that coaching work is worth your continued investment beyond this workshop. Investment of money, yes, but more importantly, of your time, your attention, and your life energy. And that's true whether you choose to engage with our particular program or not. By the way, I want to make that case not with a pitch, but with the truth. Because the truth in this case is more compelling than anything a marketing team could construct. So let's get the slides rolling here. So we are living through a chronic disease crisis of almost incomprehensible scale. In the United States alone, healthcare expenditures have reached $4.5 trillion a year, more than 15% of our entire gross domestic product, all the money we spend on everything in our economy. Putting that in perspective, it's more than 4 times the current US military budget. And of that $4.5 trillion, more than $4 trillion, the overwhelming majority, goes toward managing the symptoms of chronic illness. The truth is, if we're being honest about it, we don't have a healthcare system. We have a disease symptom management system. More people than ever in history are living chronically sick. And it's not just the US. Globally, chronic diseases claim 41 million lives prematurely every single year. That's 41 million people dying too soon from conditions that in most cases are significantly driven by diet and lifestyle. Those diseases account for 71% of all human deaths on Earth. And beyond mortality, chronic diseases are responsible for 255 million disability-adjusted life years lost every year. That's a measure of years lived in pain, diminished capacity, and often depending on the time and financial resources of others in order to survive. And these aren't just statistics or numbers. They represent parents who aren't there for their children's graduations, grandparents who never meet their grandkids, people in what should be the most productive decades of their lives, watching those decades consumed by illness and medical appointments and financial strain. And here is what makes this particularly maddening. The overwhelming majority of these deaths and this suffering are preventable. The medical system was not designed to address root causes. It was designed around acute care, treating what's already broken. It is extraordinary at trauma, at surgery, at pharmaceutical intervention, but fundamentally structured around managing disease rather than preventing it. A patient comes in with type 2 diabetes and the system offers medication to manage blood sugar. A patient comes in with heart disease and is given statins and stents. What the system rarely does, what it almost has no infrastructure to do, is to ask, why did this happen? And what would it take to reverse it? The average physician in the United States, across all their medical training, receives less than 19 hours of nutritional education. Most of that is focused on nutritional deficiency diseases like scurvy or rickets, not on how to help a patient eat in a way that prevents or reverses the conditions most likely to kill them. So we've got a system full of extraordinarily smart, hardworking, dedicated professionals who want to help, but who were never taught that food is medicine. The way I see it, a doctor who doesn't know about food is kind of like a firefighter who doesn't know about water. That is not a criticism of physicians. It is a structural indictment of a system that trained them to reach for prescription pads rather than produce. The result is a massive gap between what people need and what the healthcare system is equipped to provide, between the science of how to prevent and reverse chronic disease and what most patients are ever told, between knowing and doing. And that gap is where you can come in. So let me describe that gap more specifically because I think it's worth understanding in practical terms. Nearly 3/4 of Americans say that improving their health is a top personal priority. So the desire's there. The motivation exists. What's missing in so many cases is support, the right kind of support at the right time from someone who actually knows how to help. Here's what we know from decades of behavior change research. Information alone almost never changes behavior. Knowing that vegetables are good for you does not cause you to eat more vegetables. Knowing that stress is bad for your heart does not cause you to sleep 8 hours and meditate every day. The gap between knowing and doing is inherently not a knowledge problem. It's a support problem. It's a structure problem, and it's a relationship problem. And that is what a skilled nutrition and lifestyle coach can help solve. Health coaches are increasingly being recognized as a critical part of the healthcare ecosystem. They're beginning to be embedded in primary care practices, working alongside physicians to help patients actually follow through on the lifestyle changes that their doctors are beginning to recommend. They're working in specialty clinics in areas like endocrinology, cardiology, and oncology, helping people manage complex conditions with lifestyle tools that pharmaceuticals alone can't address. They're in hospitals and health systems, reducing readmissions by supporting patients after discharge. They're in corporate wellness programs, and this is a rapidly growing sector, helping employees avoid the burnout, chronic stress, and preventable illness that costs employers an estimated $575 billion a year in lost productivity and healthcare spending in the United States alone. Health coaches are in insurance companies, which have realized that a healthy coach working with high-risk patients is far cheaper than the hospitalizations those patients would otherwise require. They're in community health centers, reaching the populations most underserved by traditional healthcare. And they're building their own independent practices, working with clients who are done waiting for the healthcare system to tell them something useful and are ready to take their health into their own hands. Let me give you one data point that crystallizes the opportunity. Researchers at Tufts University studied produce prescriptions. This is programs where doctors prescribe fruits and vegetables to patients and provide financial support to purchase them as part of the broader food is medicine movement. They found that the cost effectiveness of produce prescriptions was more than 10 times better than modern weight loss medications. 10 times. They projected that providing produce prescriptions to 6.5 million eligible recipients could prevent 292,000 cardiovascular events and generate 260,000 quality-adjusted life years over their lifetimes. Think about what that means. One of the most powerful medical interventions we've got is also one of the simplest and least expensive, helping people eat more fruits and vegetables. And the professionals best positioned to help people actually do that, to make that change stick in the context of their real lives, their real families, their real food environments, are coaches. The healthcare system is beginning to understand this. Values-based care, reimbursing providers based on patient outcomes rather than number of procedures, creates direct financial incentives to keep people healthy rather than just treating them when they're sick. And that shifts demands that more coaches do what coaches do best. You don't have to convince the healthcare system to change to build a meaningful coaching practice. But the system is changing, and the coaches who understand how to work in it and alongside it will find themselves in extraordinary demand. And I want to say something directly to those of you who aren't here because you want to build a coaching business. Some of you are here because you want to be the person your family calls when someone gets a scary diagnosis. You want to be the one at the dinner table who actually knows what the research says and how to share it in a way that lands. You want to be a thought leader in your community, your faith organization, or your workplace without necessarily, hanging out a shingle. That's a deeply valuable reason to be here. The skills you're building are just as useful in those contexts, maybe more so, because the people who trust you already are often the people who need you the most. Now, I want to zoom out because I think the most motivated coaches I know, the ones who sustain this work for years and decades, aren't just inspired by a career opportunity. They're motivated by something bigger, by a sense that this work matters beyond the individual client in front of them. So let me make that case explicitly. What you eat is the single most consequential daily choice you make for your own health. But it is also one of the most consequential choices you make for the health of the planet and for the people who share it with you. Let me give you some numbers from a study I published in the American Journal of Lifestyle Medicine in 2025, because I want you to have these in your bones when you talk to clients about why this matters. A lifestyle rooted in whole foods and plant-based eating, alongside regular physical activity and not smoking, can reduce the risk of heart attack by up to 90%. Type 2 diabetes by up to 90%, coronary heart disease by 65%, stroke by 50%. My friends, these are not marginal improvements. These are transformative outcomes from choices that people make every single day. Increasing fruit consumption alone, just eating more fruit, could prevent 4.9 million premature deaths per year globally. Higher intakes of nuts, seeds, vegetables, and whole grains could save another 6 million lives per year. Right there, we're talking about 11 million lives a year saved by eating real food. By the way, that is more than the entire population of Sweden every single year. And when we look at the environmental dimension, the stakes are also profound. Animal agriculture currently uses 83% of the world's agricultural land to produce just 18% of global calories. Of all mammalian biomass on Earth, the combined body weight of every mammal, 34% is human, more than a third. 62% is our livestock. Only 4% is wild animals. All the elephants and giraffes and wolves and deer and wild horses and other wild mammals in the world combined are 4% of mammalian biomass. Our livestock are eating the wild creatures out of house and home. We've got an enormously inefficient agricultural system, and it's kind of like a protein factory in reverse. When you cycle calories up the food chain, you get radical inefficiency. A global transition to a more plant-based diet could reduce agricultural land use by more than 75%, freeing up an area larger than the combined total land mass of the United States, China, the European Union, and Australia combined. This land could be used for reforestation, rewilding, carbon sequestration, just to have beautiful natural spaces again. Research suggests that reforesting that land, just land that has been chopped down or burned to create land for livestock production, could sequester an estimated 226 billion metric tons of carbon, which is roughly a third of all excess emissions since industrialization began. And the Oxford Martin School has estimated that a global transition to plant-based diets by 2050 in the next generation could save 8 million lives annually, avert over $1.5 trillion in climate-related damages, and generate $20 to $30 trillion in net economic value by reducing premature deaths. These numbers are not science fiction. They are peer-reviewed projections from some of the most respected research institutions in the world. Now, here's where health equity enters the picture, and I want to name this because I think it is one of the most important and underappreciated dimensions of this work. The burden of diet-related chronic disease does not fall equally. In the United States, Black and Hispanic Americans are about twice as likely as white Americans to develop dementia. African Americans are 30% more likely to die from heart disease. The economic burden of racial and ethnic health disparities in the US was estimated at $451 billion in 2018 alone. And that number captures only direct medical costs, not lost wages, not the time families spend caring for sick loved ones, not the intergenerational poverty that results when illness depletes whatever financial reserves a family has managed to accumulate. Communities with lower incomes often have less access to fresh produce, more exposure to ultra-processed food, less time and bandwidth to cook, and less access to the kind of healthcare that might catch problems early. And so the diseases that are most preventable through diet and lifestyle hit hardest in the places least equipped to absorb them. What coaches do when they do it well is help close that gap, not just for affluent clients who can afford premium wellness, but also in communities, in faith organizations, in schools and workplaces and clinics that serve people who need this knowledge the most. Finland ran a nationwide dietary initiative promoting fruit and vegetable consumption. They saw a significant reduction in cardiovascular disease over the following 2 decades. That kind of population level shift begins with individuals who carry the message and the skills to help it take root. Now you, my friends, are part of that story. Some of you may know that we started the plant-based coaching certificate in 2023. And you might be wondering, why did we make the shift to nutrition and lifestyle coaching certificate? Well, let me tell you, because I think it matters. So plant-based nutrition is still the heart of our program. The science is clear and only gets clearer. We believe that whole food, plant-forward dietary patterns are the most powerful tools we've got for preventing and reversing chronic disease. We're not backing away from that. We are leaning into it with more depth and more confidence than ever. And here's what we came to understanding more fully as our coaches went into practice. Food is the foundation. It's not the whole building. A client can be eating perfectly, beautifully plant-based, whole foods, no junk, and still be unwell. Maybe because they're sleeping 5 hours a night, because they're carrying chronic unmanaged stress that's flooding their body with cortisol and keeping their nervous system in a perpetual state of alarm. Maybe because they're super lonely. We now know from decades of research that loneliness can kill faster than cigarettes. Maybe because they're sedentary in ways that undo the benefits of even an excellent diet. The greatest point of leverage in any system is the weakest link in the chain. If you're a coach who can only address food, you hit a wall with every client for whom food isn't their weakest link. You'll be limited in what you can offer, and your clients will be impacted by that limit. Sleep, movement, stress, human connection are not afterthoughts to health. They are co-equal pillars. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine recognizes 6 pillars: whole foods, plant-based nutrition, physical activity, restorative sleep, stress management, avoidance of risky substances, and positive social connection. Our program now trains coaches across all 6 with plant-forward nutrition as the foundation and the other 5 as the full architecture of a healthy life. There's also a practical dimension worth naming. Plant-based coaching is meaningful to people who are already in the food and wellness space and who are interested in a plant-based lifestyle. Nutrition and lifestyle coaching speaks to a broader audience, to the corporate HR director looking for a wellness program, to the primary care physician wanting to refer patients for lifestyle support, to the person who knows they need to change how they're living but hasn't yet framed it as a plant-based journey. The work is the same. The language opens more doors. And the same is true for the coaches themselves, or rather for the people who don't think of themselves as coaches at all. Some of the most impactful people who have come through this training aren't running coaching businesses. They're physicians who wanted to finally understand nutrition at a clinical level and also wanted to understand the psychology of behavior change. They're teachers who wanted to change how their school thinks about food. Some of them are parents who wanted to stop feeling helpless in the face of a family member's chronic illness. The credential matters less than the knowledge and the confidence. And both of those are fully available to you here, whatever path you take. Now, for our coaching certificate graduates who went through plant-based coaching, nothing about your credential changes. You are FRN certified coaches, and we're giving you access to the updated curriculum as part of your ongoing journey with us. The evolution of the program is for everyone. I want to give you a brief but concrete picture of what this work produces in measurable terms, because as coaches, you will need to be able to articulate value to potential clients, employers, and healthcare partners. The research on health coaching outcomes is clear, and it's growing. Studies show that health coaching interventions lead to significant improvements in blood pressure, blood glucose, body mass index, cholesterol levels, and overall quality of life in patients with chronic conditions. A review published in the American Journal of Health Promotion found that health coaching reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 5 millimeters of mercury, which translates to reducing the relative risk of major cardiovascular events like heart attacks and strokes by about 10%. If widely rolled out, that could be equivalent to saving 1.4 million lives per year from cardiovascular disease alone. Patients with type 2 diabetes who worked with health coaches showed significantly better improvements in HbA1c levels than those receiving standard care alone. We know that lifestyle medicine intervention, which is the closest research analog to what you might do as coaches, has produced some of the most striking outcomes in all of clinical research. Dr. Dean Ornish's landmark program demonstrated that a whole food plant-based diet combined with lifestyle changes, like we're talking about here, could actually reverse coronary artery disease. Not just slow its progression, but reverse it. His program is now covered by Medicare, which is a meaningful signal that the healthcare system is beginning to recognize lifestyle intervention can be legit medicine. A recent binational randomized controlled trial of a culinary medicine program, essentially a structured nutrition and lifestyle coaching intervention, demonstrated sustained weight loss at 1 year that rivaled pharmaceutical interventions at a fraction of the cost and with no side effects. And I'll come back to the produce prescriptions research from Tufts because I want this number to stay with you. The cost-effectiveness ratio of produce prescriptions compared to modern weight loss medications, again, is more than 10 to 1 in favor of the food. 10 to 1. The most powerful intervention we've got for many of the most common and costly chronic conditions is also one of the cheapest. What is expensive is the human infrastructure to deliver it effectively, the coaching, the education, the ongoing support. That's what you can provide. And the cost, again, is marginal compared to what's already being paid for at a systemic level. Okay, friends, now I want to shift gears a little bit and talk about something that I think is on a lot of people's minds and that I want to address with as much honesty and clarity as I can in a few brief moments we've got for this topic. Big topic, artificial intelligence. Let me start by sharing a few of the concerns. So, the data centers that run large AI systems consume enormous amounts of energy and water. Some estimates suggest that a single complex AI query uses as much water as a plastic bottle's worth just for cooling. The carbon footprint of training large language models is significant and it's growing. For those of us who care deeply about the environmental impact of our choices, this is a real concern. It can be addressed. These companies can build massive solar complexes. They can probably even figure out ways to recycle their cooling water, cleanse it, and circle it back so it doesn't have to be so wasteful. But right now, they're not doing it, and the environmental costs are mounting. There are also other big concerns like job displacement. AI is already replacing certain categories of knowledge work, and that disruption will very likely continue and accelerate. There are serious unresolved questions about AI in military applications, AI systems that optimize for goals that are misaligned with human values, and the concentration of this technology and the enormous wealth it produces in the hands of a very small number of enormously powerful companies whose core motivation isn't public welfare, it's making money. And there's a subtler disruption that I think many of us are already feeling, even if we haven't named it. We're all having to develop a kind of screening reflex in our minds, a question that runs automatically when we read something or even see a video. We start asking, was this made by a human or by a machine? Does this feel real? Is there a person behind this? That reflex is creating a new premium on authenticity, on real human experience, on humanity, vulnerability, emotion, humor, all the things that make you know there's a real person here, not just a robot, not some artificial AI creation. Which is to say, the rise of AI is, I think, simultaneously creating a challenge and an opportunity for coaches. So here's the opportunity. Most large language models like ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini and all the others, they're not actually creative in the way that humans are creative. They're trained on vast amounts of existing human-generated text. They learn to predict what words should follow other words. They're extraordinarily good at pattern recognition and at synthesis. They are not capable of genuine original thought, and they're not capable of the kind of relational attunement that makes coaching so powerful and so effective. They are incredible tools if you know how to use them. And so I want to create this distinction, right, between AI ruling us and us using AI. And the way I think about it, every hour you spend learning to use AI well could save you 10 or more hours downstream, sometimes exponentially more. The coaches who understand how to use these tools will have structural advantage over those who don't. Not because AI replaces the coaching relationship, but because it can, used well, eliminate some of the repetitive, time-consuming tasks that drain your hours and your life energy. So you could spend less time in front of a computer typing and more time interacting with human beings and coaching. So what can AI do for you as a coach? Well, it has the potential to save you time and improve your quality when you use it to help you draft your marketing copy, your email sequences, your social media posts, your newsletters. It can help you develop client handouts and workshop curricula and educational content. It can, with permission, transcribe client sessions, help you brainstorm intake questions, structure your programs, and analyze patterns in your own work. Design tools like Canva now have AI built in that can generate professional graphics in minutes. Tools like Descript can edit video by editing text. Tools like Otter can transcribe and summarize hours of audio in seconds. And I want to share a brief word on which tools to consider. Now, most large language models share the same basic architecture. The differences between them are more about training and fine-tuning and values than fundamental capability. Personally, I use Claude, which is made by Anthropic, the most, because Anthropic has made some real commitments to AI safety and ethical development that I respect. But ChatGPT and Gemini and many others are also powerful, and each tool has its own areas where it excels, and they're all changing constantly. And so I think the goal today in this workshop isn't to train you on any of them or to give you all the steps you need to actually make use of AI or decide not to. I just want to share some thoughts and some encouragement to face this question honestly and to explore, if you want to build a career in coaching, how AI could empower that and support you to be more you, right? Um, the irreplaceable part, the part AI can't do, is the human relationship at the center of coaching. Love, attention, accountability, compassion, empathy, intuition. The ability to sit with somebody in their confusion and fear without rushing to fix it. To take a deep breath in a way that inspires them to take a deep breath. To have a settled nervous system in a way that helps settle their nervous system. The quality of presence that makes the client feel truly seen. These are not features that can be automated. And here's the profound irony of the AI moment. As more and more of our information and content and communication becomes machine generated, which does seem, like it or not, to be a trend today. I believe that human skills, humanity, vulnerability, presence, the kind of skills coaches can bring will become more valuable than ever. In a world saturated with AI generated content, a person who actually cares about you, who remembers what you said last week and asks about it this week, who notices when you're struggling and meets you there, who can sense that there's a gap between the words you use and the emotional tone that they can feel, that person becomes rarer and more precious. I believe that your value as a coach, if you develop real human coaching skills, will increase in an AI impacted world. We go into all this in a lot more depth and practical detail in the Nutrition and Lifestyle Coaching Certificate, including how to build your marketing presence, how to use AI tools to scale your content, and how to stay ethical and human in your client relationships. But I wanted to name it here because I think we need to have honest conversations about AI and about the future of coaching and how they intersect. So now let me kind of bring this all back together. Just to summarize some of what we've covered here. We've got a healthcare system spending $4.5 trillion a year, the vast majority on chronic diseases that are largely preventable. We've got 41 million people dying prematurely every year from conditions driven by how they eat and live. We've got physicians who were never taught that food is medicine, and patients who desperately want to change but can't figure out how to make it stick. We've got a food system that is simultaneously making people sick and destabilizing the planet. And we've got mounting evidence that the most cost-effective interventions available to us are the lifestyle ones, the ones that require not more technology or more pharmaceutical breakthroughs, but more skilled, compassionate, knowledgeable human beings walking alongside people as they change. My friends, that's the gap, and you could help bridge it. Not as a bystander, but as someone who, by being in this workshop, has already demonstrated that you care enough to show up. I believe we are at a genuine inflection point in how humanity relates to food and health. The science has been building for decades, in fact, for about a century now. The institutional recognition is arriving. The cultural conversation is shifting. What's needed now urgently at scale in every community are people who understand both the science and the human side of transformation. That is the food and wellness revolution. It doesn't happen just in policy rooms or research journals, though those matter. It happens one conversation at a time, one kitchen, one family, and one community at a time. Whatever that looks like in your life remains to be seen, whether that looks like a full coaching practice, a side calling, or role in healthcare or education or community leadership, or just being the most informed and empowered version of yourself. The path forward starts with the same foundation. The world's got enough people waiting to feel ready. It needs more people who say yes. So that's my presentation.
Oh my gosh, Ocean, standing ovation. If I wasn't already standing, I would definitely be on my feet all over again.
Wait, you're standing, Tracy? Okay, just take that in. Tracy is standing, standing desk. Good job. That's another
Yeah,
lifestyle cool thing.
yeah, I don't even own a chair in this room. Oh goodness. Yeah, I am so just elated by everything you shared. And I do have a delay on the comment stream, but we did get some questions that I would love to run by you. Let's see. The first question that we got is from Caitlin. She's asking, why do we want physicians trained to do a nutritional consult instead of knowing when to refer to a nutritionist? Could you
Mm.
clarify that?
Yeah. So I don't think that physicians are going to have the time to spend like the deep time with the patient that patients need. But their words carry a lot of weight. I mean, when people hear something from their doctor, sometimes they remember it forever. Because you know what, when you're talking to your doctor, you're finding out kind of like the fate of your life sometimes. I mean, you get test results and they can tell you whether they think you're going to live or die, like what diagnosis. So there's a level of vulnerability there that's profound. So we do need doctors to be able to be informed enough to let the gravitas of their words land as they refer patients to health coaches that can take them the next step, you know. And then absolutely they should refer. There are doctors who want to do both, right? There are absolutely various doctors who spend real time with patients who have hour-long sessions, and there's beauty to that too, right? Some doctors they may not make as much money, but they have a more fulfilling practice. Um, and so that's absolutely legit. There are doctors who choose to make nutrition the core of their practice or a big part of it. But more often, they're going to be able to refer with clarity and guide, in a way that really moves people.
Wonderful. Yeah, I see a lot of partnerships happening. Um, with Caitlin had another question actually. Plant-based diets, she said, can include meat and dairy. It's often less than the standard Western diet, but it's still a component, including in the blue zones. So why would we keep using, or why would we use plant-based, vegetarian, and vegan interchangeably when they're not the same? Can we clarify that a little bit too?
Well, you use the language that makes sense for the audience that you're talking to, and also that's as accurate as possible. So I use different words in different contexts. I personally don't use vegan or vegetarian, generally speaking, unless I'm referring to a study where that's what the researchers were studying. And then I will refer to that study. If they used a vegan diet or a low-fat vegan diet or what have you, then that's what we use for language. But I think that those words can be a bit divisive sometimes because it creates this all or nothing mentality. There's that old joke like, how do you know if someone's vegetarian? Oh, don't worry, they'll tell you. Because sometimes plant-based eaters, let's say, can be a little bit enthusiastic. I don't know anybody who would fit that description, and can proselytize, and sometimes that can land as a bit alienating to some people, right? So learning how to, as we're talking about in this workshop, how to communicate effectively and honestly is really, really important. And I find that when we've surveyed our members, Food Revolution Network members, what we find is about 10% identify as vegan, about 35% of identify as whole foods plant-based, about 35% identify as flexitarian or plant forward or some such language, and then a portion identify as omnivorous. And we welcome everybody in the food revolution. You don't have to subscribe to an ideology to eat more plants and eat more real food and want to be healthy and well. So I like to focus on that direction. And, plant forward is lovely language. It's not widely used, but I really like it. Whole foods plant-based can be very inclusive. It's starting to sometimes be a tag for vegan. If we say 100% plant-based, what we mean is vegan. That works for me, but I'm also aware that it could alienate some people who are like, well, if I have a piece of fish every month, does that make me not fit in the club? It's like, no, you're welcome here, right? Like we're all welcome, and we all do what we can to live in alignment with our values and our best well-being, and that's ultimately what I want. I have a friend who like went on a carnivore diet and he was like feeling great for a little while, and I genuinely was happy for him that he was feeling better. He'd been in pain, he was feeling better. Now it didn't last, and he ended up going off it, and he swears it was terrible for him, but for a little while he was feeling better, and I was like, my friend, whatever works for you, I want you to be well, right? So sometimes we just have to let our core love for humanity trump our ideology. And sure, I was thinking about the rainforests and the environmental impact if he ate this way for the rest of his life. But at the same time, I just want him to be well. And I believe that a human being who feels good and is well in their bodies will make more conscious choices and maybe give more to humanity. So, I'm not an ideologue at the expense of compassion, right? At the same time, the studies are pretty clear that a whole foods plant-based dietary pattern is the most compassionate approach for human welfare. And so here we are.
Here we are. Some would argue that vegan or plant-based is not necessarily healthy when it's not whole food. We talk about that a lot in the course as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can have ultra processed vegan food that ends up being quite damaging to your well-being. And this comes back to one of the great variables in nutritional science, which is instead of what. Like we study a particular food, and you can make anything look healthy if you compare it to donuts, for example, right? And so some of the research we've seen that seemed to exonerate red meat, for example, from a health perspective, was done with that that filter. So like if you compare that, all the research saying, oh, saturated fat is good for you, they were comparing it to ultra processed carbs. And then suddenly saturated fat doesn't look so bad. But if you compare it to whole plant foods, it looks horrible. So it's all a matter of perspective.
Mm. We had a comment in the comment stream from Heidi who wanted to share that regenerative agriculture is massively healthy for the land, water, birds, etc., especially the soil biome, in many ways increasing the nutrient density of
Mhm.
grasses. And this is something that we hear about a lot. Do we have any response or thoughts around regenerative agriculture?
I'm a huge fan of regenerative agriculture in terms of agriculture that regenerates the soil and invests in it. So we get more topsoil and more healthy microbiome or biome in the soil, more earthworms, more of all the microbes, more capacity to hold water. I live in a small eco-village community. We're practicing permaculture. We're creating berms and swales and composting. We even have human manure going, and we're like doing a lot of things to try to regenerate the soil, and we're seeing some wonderful results. I mean, even in big storms, it's all slopey land, and the water doesn't even reach the bottom when it's drenching rain because it goes down because we've created so much beautiful richness that can hold that water and take it and replenish the aquifers. So to me, this is a beautiful expression of living in a good way on the earth. Um, that can be done with or without livestock. The regenerative movement has often been looked at as being this particular way of raising beef. It's it with rotational grazing and where, cows are concentrated in one little area and then they move to another little area and they eat, and then move. And it's a technology, if you will, that is definitely better for soil health than conventional grazing patterns. No doubt about it. That said, I don't think it's a panacea for environmental restoration because livestock inherently needs so much land and resources to function. Now, there are ecosystems, grasslands, where livestock could even be a net benefit when well managed. But there's also tropical rainforests being chopped down and burned to create grazing land for grass-fed beef, and so it depends on the ecosystem, but cumulatively, we don't have the land capacity for beef at the scale we're eating it today. We've got to eat less. And so less meat, better meat, sure, I can get behind that. And my work is more on the less meat side. I think we've got plenty of people promoting the better meat side, and that's valid. I respect that. If somebody's going to move from a concentrated animal feeding operation to regenerative, Allerin, savory style grazing patterns, like I think that's a win for the planet and a win for the cows, and probably a step forward for human health. But I'm focused on the less meat side because that's also a huge part of the equation.
Yeah. I remember at the beginning of my coaching journey when I was in functional and integrative practices, I have never, even with carnivores, had anybody ask me for help to have like a healthier meatloaf recipe or a healthier lasagna recipe. Everybody wants to know how to eat more vegetables and make them taste good. So, Andrew wants to know, he says, I don't know how to cook. How could I possibly be a coach?
Mm. Oh my gosh. Well, here's the thing. I bet a lot of your clients don't either. So you can relate. So if you want to learn how to cook, there's simple steps. And the beauty is, here's a really interesting thing. When you learn something, you have the capacity to learn in a way that is that sort of traces your journey. If you already knew it, it's very hard to teach it, actually, sometimes. But if you're learning it intentionally, then it's actually easier to then like share with others, hey, I went through the exact same thing and here's what I did. So yeah, it would be smart to learn some basic tips because you do want to practice what you preach. Um, but you can do that. And actually we have quite a bit on the culinary side
We
in the
do.
coaching certificate where you actually learn about, the culinary side and how to prepare delicious food. Here's one of the things I think is really important, friends, is that a lot of people think that eating better is going to mean giving up pleasure, social connection, joy. And I really want to challenge that. The key is to learn to love foods that love you back. Um, and sure, I'm not going to argue that kale tastes as good as donuts, but I am going to argue that in the long run, you will have more pleasure eating kale than eating donuts. And here's why. There's more pleasure in a clear mind and a healthier cardiovascular system, in a body that doesn't ache when you get up in the morning, in the capacity to do what you love. There's more pleasure in having the financial resources saved because you're not spending them on medical care than there is in a few seconds of taste bud that then makes your stomach feel ill. There's also a pleasure in congruency and knowing that what you're eating is aligned with your values, that you are an expression of who you are and what you care about. That feels really good too. So I'm all about pleasure. I just want us to have more pleasure for doing the things that are actually good for us, right? We've got to rewire our patterns and brains. And so learning how to cook can be one of those steps, right? But it can be simple. Some people don't like to, I don't like to spend a lot of time in the kitchen. Once in a while, I like to make some fancy thing, but more often it's like real basics around our house. I love a good sauce, some beans, some grains, some vegetables, mix it up, make a nice bowl, put a sauce over it all. I'm good. Honestly, I sometimes eat beans for breakfast. I don't see why not. Yeah, so it can be fun to find the simple ways to do it too.
Awesome. Okay, I have a really good question from Shannon for you. How can AI be used for client education?
So here's what I have done. I find it personally, having been in this body of work for a long time, I've found that I've already created so much content that AI can help synthesize, organize, and cohere within the framework of my values and beliefs. So it doesn't replace original thought, but it can coalesce and repackage original thought. And you also can use, as a part of our program, we have AI models that have been trained on our body of content. There's one in Whole Life Club. We call it Wellness Buddy. So you can ask for it to create handouts, resources, whatever, tied to a specific patient need that are trained on our body of work, right? All of our 1,000 articles, all of my books, etc. And it can coalesce that and provide, even if you ask for it, source links. So those are the kinds of things that can be done. I will say sometimes when I'm doing research, I will ask the same question of maybe even two or three different AI models because I'm struggling with it, and then I'll go to source links to back it up. But it can help crystallize and clarify quite rapidly in a muddled world. Um, and so with client education, I think helping create, handouts, fact sheets, resources, never just copy and paste. Own the prompts, own the feeds that you're giving it, own the intellectual context, and then also own filtering outcome. Make sure you stand behind every word you use. Never just recite something because AI said it. That is not going to be legit, but you can use it to that 80% of the work in the middle. And that can really help a great deal. Um, so that's one of the ways it can help with client education. And you're also going to find that more and more people are going to be using AI on their own, but then they're going to be coming to you for validation or clarification. Hey, I heard this. Is it true? You know, and then you can be that final clarification that helps settle the matter for them. And occasionally AI is wrong, which can be devastating if people take it as truth. So, of course, doctors can be wrong too, right? But the AI doesn't actually know that person and their situation. It knows what they've said, right? And so it's really important to go a little layer deeper. But AI can be a resource there, and I think probably more and more people are going to be using it, and we're going to need to filter for them.
Yeah. I think we maybe have time for one more. Um, Eliza is asking, or she wants clarification. Did you say that the Dean, Dr. Ornish's program is covered by Medicare?
The Ornish program is covered by Medicare. Yes, it is. And you may be able to, and a lot of the big insurance companies. So if you have a cardiovascular disease diagnosis, talk with your doctor about it.
Well, Ocean, as always, that was absolutely amazing. And audience, you just heard Ocean make the case for why all of this work matters now more than ever. So let's start talking about how to build this out sustainably without losing yourself in the process of that build. I'm going to go ahead and bring on our next speaker who I'm
Before
really
you do, can I
excited.
just share one? We just got,
Oh,
Cynthia just said something. I've just
oh,
got to
please.
read it because it was so
Yes.
touching. She
Yes.
said, Cynthia, thank you for this. She said, you'll never meet a more heart-centered, compassionate, empowered, educated, and wise people than the FRN coaching certification team. I'm a recent plant-based coaching certificate grad whose life has been transformed and who is now on fire for this cause. When I realized that the FRN mission was so closely aligned with my values, passion, and life experiences, and that it could address a critical illness in our family, I couldn't wait to get started. You will love this program. You will love the faculty. Don't hesitate if it is calling to you. Sign up and be absolutely blessed and amazed at what happens in your life and the life of those you love. You will never do anything more important in your life. Wow.
Oh my
Oh my
gosh.
goodness, Cynthia. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, thank you for interrupting me with that. And thank you, Cynthia, so much. That's really
Yeah,
sweet.
yeah.
Okay, I'm all red now. I'm going to go ahead now and bring on our next speaker. Our next speaker has spent nearly 2 decades helping coaches build businesses that actually last. Melinda Cohen is co-founder of the Coaches Console, and she's helped over 120,000 coaches. I'm sure that number is up by now, and entrepreneurs create profitable, sustainable business that they love. She is an incredible author. She's got a few books, The Confident Coach, The Professional Coach, and her latest book, Sustainable Success. I think there's one more coming too. Did I miss it? Which challenges the idea that burnout is just the price of admission for building something meaningful. She can tell you firsthand it's not. So please welcome Melinda Cohen.
Hello and welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. For some of you, I'm so excited to be back. And it's great to be part of this revolution, part of this movement, and part of helping you get your passions out into this world. I'm going to share my screen and we're going to kick off a slideshow. And I want to talk about taking this passion of yours and this meaningful work, like Ocean just was talking about. How do we get this in the world? How do we support those that are resonating with this lifestyle, with wanting to adopt this, with wanting to live in these meaningful, authentic, integrity aligned ways? How do we turn it into work in this world? And that's what we're going to talk about. And I'm going to talk about the power of enough. And we're going to have some fun with this word today, enough. We're going to talk about how do you build a coaching business? Because, like Ocean said earlier, you can take this work and you can turn it into a business. You can turn it into a career. It can become a social impact. But right now, we're going to focus on how do you turn it into a business, but doing so without losing your joy for this passion that you have and without burning out. And that's what we're going to spend the next little bit of time diving into. Because if you're thinking about becoming a coach, maybe you've already even started coaching or you already have a business and you want to add this into your business, I want you to know that it's totally possible to build a successful practice doing the work that matters to you and being profitable while doing so. Like all of that can exist at the same time. Now, I've been in this industry for over 24 years. I built my own coaching business. Never thought I was going to be an entrepreneur. Never thought I was going to have my own business, but that's where my journey took me. And then I went on to build a company that served other coaches, taught them how to be a business owner, not just do the thing that they're great at doing. And that's where my first two books came in, the coach, Confident Coach and the Professional Coach. And like Tracy said, I've worked with tens of thousands of coaches. And my latest book, the Sustainable Success book, that is where we keep the joy of what we love, where we learn how to be profitable, where we still achieve at high levels, but we don't burn out. We don't lose ourselves in the process. And I have seen a lot of different coaching businesses. I've seen people build incredibly successful businesses. I've also seen a lot of people build businesses that they couldn't stand running anymore, or it ran them right into the ground. And that's the distinction that I want to talk about today. because I don't want you just to have a successful business at all costs. I want you to build one that you love and that lasts. Now, I want you to think for a second about what draws people to coaching in the first place. You've been talking about this. It's been woven into the conversations you've been having here, but it's usually some combination of meaning. You want to do the work that matters. It's about income. You want to make money doing this, right? Nothing wrong with that. I love making money. And impact, right? You want to help somebody make a difference, make change in their life. Maybe they've been trying to do it for years and can't do it on their own. And then there's freedom. And that's one of the biggest. You want control over your schedule. Maybe you want to work from anywhere while you're traveling. Maybe you want to spend more time with your family, or you want to leave a career that's no longer a fit anymore. Maybe you just want to work and have a life that feels like yours, something that you're proud of, a legacy that you want to leave. And I want you to know that that possibility and that combination is real, but there is a catch. And that's what I want to put the spotlight on today. A few years ago, I wrote my book, Sustainable Success. And one of the ideas underneath it isn't that success itself is not what burns us out. It's the way that we pursue it. There's nothing inherently exhausting about having a successful business. There's nothing really exhausting about making a lot of money or having a lot of clients or creating a big impact. The problem is what we sometimes believe we have to do to get there. We end up overworking. We end up overcommitting. We say yes to everything. We make ourselves available at all times, all hours. We keep adding and adding and adding. And eventually we look around and we realize, well, hang on a second. I built this thing because I wanted freedom, but now this has taken over. And so that's not the kind of success that I'm interested in helping you create. That's not the kind of success that we teach you within this certification program. But I want to change the question, because I think there's a better question that can be asked. Most questions that new coaches are asking are something along the line, how do I build a successful coaching practice? And it's a good one, but I think there's a better one. How do I build a successful coaching practice that I can sustain and that supports the life I actually want to live? That second part of the question is what most of us miss. That's a very different part. That's actually the whole purpose of starting your business. A lot of times I'll ask, what's the purpose of your business? To make money, to find clients, to get my work out in the world. But the purpose of your business is to be in service of the lifestyle you want to create. Otherwise, you could just go get a job. We're not just talking about revenue. We're not just talking about the number of clients. We're talking about the entire picture. And there's two traps that I see coaches, they fall into these inevitably over and over again. And I want to make sure you have eyes wide open before you get too far down the road. And so the first trap is what I call becoming the product. It's incredibly easy to do in coaching, in any service-based industry, when it's our passion. Because a lot of times we get into this because it has changed our life. And now we want to help others experience the benefits and the joys that we've had, right? And so you coach somebody. This is what it usually looks like when you first get started. When you start out on that path, it's a pretty straightforward business model, right? You coach somebody, they pay you, you have a business. It's pretty simple. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's how it begins. And then you keep doing it over and over, and then it keeps expanding and expanding, right? And so that I coach, the client pays me, I have a business. And that's how you start out. You don't have to have 14 different revenue streams. You don't have to have a big team. You don't have to have some complicated funnel, right? You don't need to wake up tomorrow and create a course or spend months on a website or have the perfect logo. Like, You got to be really good at helping people. And so initially, your business probably is going to depend pretty heavily on you. It's normal, it's necessary. But the problem comes when we never stop to think, what's the next phase? Because we get in that momentum. I coach, client pays me, I have a business, and we just stay there and everything depends on us. And then we become the product. And then before too long, the equation becomes, if I'm not working, the business isn't working because you're doing the coaching, you're doing the marketing, you're scheduling the appointments, you're answering the emails, you're creating the content, you're handling the problems, you're doing the research on AI, you're putting together your social media content, you're following up with prospective clients, you're managing the clients you already have. Every dollar of revenue requires another piece of you. Now, in the beginning, it's necessary, and that's how it works. But the distinction I really want you to hear is the problem is not starting this way. The problem is unconsciously designing a business that can only ever work this way. That's when you haven't built a business. You've built yourself into a job. Sometimes it's a really demanding job with a boss who never lets you take the day off. I remember in my own business, there was a few days early on, I was like, can I fire my boss? And I was like, oh, wait, that's me. So I just wanted to fire myself, right? Because that boss is you. So part of building that sustainable coaching practice is simply recognizing that as you go, there's other possibilities. And it's one of the things that I love about what we've all created and what Ocean and Tracy have built into this program is we teach you how to get started, and then we teach you how to grow and expand. Because at some point, maybe private coaching isn't always at the center of your business. Fine. Maybe it is, and that's okay too. Maybe eventually you'll start facilitating groups, or maybe workshops come into your business model. Maybe you create a program, or maybe you start speaking or doing podcasts. Maybe you partner with an organization to expand your impact. Maybe you create intellectual property that allows your ideas to reach people even when you're not the one spreading the word. So there's a lot of options as you grow. So I don't want you to fall into the trap that the way you begin is how it always has to be. And I don't want you to leave this session thinking, oh my gosh, Melinda said I need to have 7 different offers. No. That's going to lead directly to burnout. It also leads to trap number 2, right? Because your impact, it does not have to be limited by the numbers of hours that you have available, right? I don't want you to become that product and everything dependent on you. So that's trap 1. So as we begin to grow your business, I want you to begin thinking about, how can I build a business that supports my coaching rather than a coaching practice that consumes my life? We got to have eyes wide open about that. So the second trap, this is the other thing that also happens as the excitement of, oh my gosh, I got a client, they're paying me, I have a business. Oh my gosh, there's another client, somebody else is interested in this. And the excitement that goes, trap 2 is chasing more. And this one is sneaky because usually it's our enthusiasm that's involved with helping us to fall into this trap if we're not careful. And the other thing that happens is our culture really likes more. Being an entrepreneur, our brain, the way we're wired, we are wired to see more opportunities, more possibilities. And so our enthusiasm, the culture, being an entrepreneur, if we're not careful, then all of a sudden it's about more clients, more followers, more marketing, more content, more revenue, more. Now, I am not anti-more. I am all about expanding. I mean, when I first started my coaching business, my goal was just to replace the income. I had been fired from my previous corporate job. That is another presentation for another time. I had been doing coaching as a hobby, as a side gig. And I didn't want anybody to be in charge of my future ever again. So I'm like, all right, let's turn this hobby into a business. What do I have to do? So when I started my coaching business, my goal was simply to replace the income from the salary of my corporate job. That was it. A modest income. I was on my own. I was like, that's my goal. So that's what my goal was with my business. When I started my second business, the Coaches Console, and I began serving other coaches, helping them to be business owners, I knew very early on that my goal was 7 figures. Now, like I said earlier, I love making money. I love being profitable, but not just for the sake of making money. I knew that when I set my 7-figure goal for that second business, it was more about the impact. Underlying it, that was my big why, because I knew the more coaches that I could help remove the overwhelm of business, coach more clients, be profitable in their business, I knew we were changing the world. So that is how I spread my impact. And so the goal I put on was 7 figures. Now, one of my other clients, she was retired, but she still wanted to coach. She still wanted to do a little bit of something in retirement. She loved coaching. So she started a business. She's like, Melinda, my husband and I travel in our retirement, and her desire was that her coaching income, their travel budget every year was $50,000. She's like, I think it would be awesome if the money I make from my coaching funds our travel, our retirement travel budget every year. So that was her goal. And so everybody's going to have a different goal, whatever that is. And so I am not anti-more. I love growth. I love ambition. I love big dreams. I love making money. I love creating impact. That's how I built my multi-million-dollar business. So I'm not going to sit here and tell you that wanting to grow is somehow bad or unenlightened. What I'm saying is more isn't inherently the problem. Undirected more is. More for the sake of more, because you're on that hamster wheel chasing it for the sake of chasing it. Right? I use the image a lot when I'm working with entrepreneurs, because I want you to think about the difference between diffused light and a laser, right? Diffused light spreads everywhere. A laser takes that same energy and concentrates it, right? Which one has more impact, more power, more effect? The laser. Not because there's necessarily more light, but because the energy is focused. And that's how I want you to think about your business. Because one of the easiest things to do when something isn't working is to add something else. Right? I'm not getting enough clients. Maybe I need to start a podcast. Maybe I need to get on TikTok. Maybe I need to do a group program and that'll help me maybe I need an AI bot. Maybe I should create a course. That'll help me. And we start casting wider nets, more nets, wider nets to try to get more clients or make more money. And pretty soon you've got 17 different things happening and none of them are actually getting enough of your attention to actually work. So I don't want you to hear do less. I don't want you to hear lower your goals. I want you to hear focus your energy. Again, I'm going to say this because I have been in the coaching industry for 24 years now. I have seen a lot of certification programs out there in a lot of different topics. I have taught how to start, launch, run, build, and scale your coaching business. And what I love about how this particular certification program approaches growing your business is they give you exactly what you need in the beginning to quiet your fears, remove the overwhelm, and effectively get started so you don't fall into the trap of more. But you stay focused on exactly what you need to stay focused on, step by step by step. And then you can move through it pretty rapidly with a lot of effect on your bank account, on your joy, on your passion, and on your life. And so I want you to hear focus your energy, because the opposite of more isn't less, it's focused. And this brings us to an idea that's become really important for me. I have been playing with this word for really most of my life. But a good friend once told me, we were having dinner one time, and a good friend once shared with me that completely changed the way that I think about abundance. She said, the opposite of scarcity isn't abundance, it's enough. Now, I had to sit with that one. Because in my own now this is my journey I'm talking about. Some of you might relate, some of you this might not. It's like, whatever, okay, Melinda, that's nice. But I want to share this because I've met a lot of people in our industry that have also experienced this. When I was growing up, I was the father of a preacher and a teacher. And so we didn't have a lot of money. We weren't poor. And my parents, I grew up in an amazing childhood. My parents were loving parents. They taught us that we could be anything that we wanted to be. They supported us, and it was a beautiful childhood. And we didn't have a lot of money. And so I grew up understanding not enough. Now, it wasn't a bad thing. It's just what it was. And I grew up with not enough. And then as I ventured on my journey, becoming my own adult and creating my own path, I went from not enough to just enough and barely enough. And it's like, oh, I barely have enough. And then that evolved into more than enough. And then I started in that crazy trap of more, that it's not enough. And I kept bouncing back and forth. And when she said the opposite of scarcity isn't abundance, it's enough. And my whole body was like, oh. So of course we want abundance, but abundance, if we're not careful, can very easily become another version of more. There's always another revenue goal. There's always another client. There's another launch. There's another milestone. So it's healthy to have that growth pattern as long as it's not tangled up in that secret trap of more. And if success always lives somewhere out there on the other side of the next more, you never actually arrive. So what if, when we are starting out with our coaching business, we start asking, what's enough? Or another variation, what's enough right now in this moment? Because our enough tomorrow might be defined differently. Or our enough 6 months from now might be defined differently. Or our enough next year might be different. But what's enough right now? And like I said, I want to be careful with this word. This was a trigger word of mine for a long time, right? I am a high achiever. I have high expectations. And so in those early days when I was struggling with not enough, just enough, barely enough, when I heard that word enough, it sounded like a whole lot of settling. Oh, well, let's just have enough. Like there was that funny emphasis. Oh, what's enough? And so it used to be that enough meant lowering my goals. Well, let me just set a smaller goal and then I can hit it. It meant taking my foot off the gas. Or sometimes it meant not wanting as much for myself anymore. And if I'm really honest, like there was a part of me that wondered, well, if I decide something isn't enough, am I going to lose that edge that's helping create success? Will I stop growing? Will I become status quo? For a high achiever, like that's no. And so when I say enough, I don't mean I'm making enough or that's good enough or "Well, I guess that's enough." Like that's resignation. That's giving up. That's not the enough I'm talking about. I'm talking about enough from a place of abundance. Enough because you're conscious of it. Enough because you chose it. Enough because you know what matters to you. Right? I go back to my goal. My goal when I first set out to start my coaching practice, I mean, this was 25 years ago. My salary at the time was $50,000. Now, that was a lot for me. I was on my own, had a mortgage, I had my bills, and that was a lot. I don't know what that, I've not done the math to know what that would translate in today's world. Now I feel like I'm really old, but whatever. But I knew $50,000, right? That is my enough. I had another client, she's like, just a few years ago, she's like, Melinda, I'm a single mother. I'm raising my daughter by myself. We figured out what her enough was. Her enough for her lifestyle was $75,000. She's like, I need to make $75,000 profit, take home, not top line revenue. There's a difference there. And so we found what mattered to her. But you know what enough means because you know what matters to you. Because you know what you want your business to make possible. Are you like my client Renee, where she's like, look, we're retired. I just want this to fund our retirement, our travel budget, right? Another client of mine, she had a husband who was on disability. They had 4 children. She was pregnant with her 5th. She's like, Melinda, I got to set up a business. I am the breadwinner of our household. So her enough was much higher and she exceeded it. But here's what I've come to understand. Enough didn't require me to become less ambitious. It required me to become more intentional about my ambition, to become more focused. And that's a very different thing. Success doesn't live on the other side of more. Your fear, when you first start out in business, if you're not careful, your fear will scatter you in a lot of different places, hoping and praying that something might work. But when you have the guidance of exactly what you need, step by step, when you need it, you can stay focused and intentional about your enough. You can stay conscious about what matters to you and build the business that supports the life that you're looking for. Success doesn't live on the other side of more. It lives where enough lives. So we want to define your enough. And I want to make this practical for you. Because as a coach, that's what I like doing, right? I want you to be able to turn this into the clarity that you need for the next steps. Like I said, some of you, maybe you're deciding, do I want to be a coach? Do I want to have my own business? Some of you, maybe you already have your own business. Maybe you've already started coaching, or maybe you have a different kind of business and you're adding coaching into this. Whatever defines you, these are great questions to take stock in. So I want you to write these down. Don't answer them right now, but this is your homework after this session ends today. When Ocean and Tracy wrap this up, this is going to be important for you to answer. How many clients are enough for you? Now, for me, I was fired from my business. I didn't have another job. I was on my own, didn't have a spouse or a partner. I did not have any children at the time. I had all the time in the world to devote to my business. So that's the only thing I focused on. For my other client that was a single mom, she's like, look, I got to get my kid to school. I got to pick her up from school. I've got to take her to this. I've got to do that. I'm working on this. And so she had other big rocks in her life that were important. And that meant she's like, I've got this much amount of time and this much energy and bandwidth to put towards working with clients. So that helped shape what enough clients meant to her, which was very different from me. So how many are enough? And factor in your time, your energy, and your bandwidth. How much money is enough? And look at it from different perspectives. How much money is enough? For me, again, I didn't have children, didn't have a partner. It was me. I had a mortgage. I had my bills. I had a car payment. I had to put food on my own table. So I knew how much money I had to make for me. What does enough money? I had another client. She's like, I'm just doing this for impact. Her and her husband had already built a successful lifestyle. She's like, I don't actually have to make money, but I want to have a lot of clients because impact is my driving force. I've had countless clients where this is their sole source of income. And so look at it from different perspectives when you identify how much money is enough. When you answer this question, it shouldn't just be, let's pull a number out of air and 125,000. Yeah, that sounds great, Melinda. What's driving that? What's your why behind how many clients? What's your why behind how much money is enough? Your why will help you shape your own enough. Because one of the things, this is another trap that I really didn't talk about, but another trap when you're early in your business, if you've never had a business, you don't know what you don't know. I never had my own business. I didn't know what I didn't know, right? And so in that moment of not knowing, we can get overwhelmed really quickly. And when we get overwhelmed really quickly, we're like, oh, well, Tracy did this, so I have to do that. And Melinda did this, so I need to do that. And my friend Tom, he did this, so I better do that too. And Susie did that, and I got to do that. And we start defining our enough by the way other people define their enough. So be really careful. Don't do that. Define your enough. Right? And so what does this business actually need to provide for you? How many hours do you want to work? Right? Just because you have your own business does not mean you have to work 60 hours in your business. If I could change one cultural reality that is ruling this world is, well, if I'm going to start my own business, it's nose to the grindstone and I just have to force my way through it and hopefully one day I'll be successful. Bunk. Not true. That's why I wrote Sustainable Success, right? And so when you're defining your enough, also look at how much impact do you want to make? And then one of my favorite questions, what else do you want room for? Because when you're starting your business, when you talk to a lot of different teachers or training programs or mentors out there, they will tell you in your business, your greatest asset might be what? Some will tell you your coaching skills. There's an argument for that. Some will tell you in your business, your greatest asset is your contact list. Very true as well. That's very important. I'm here to tell you that you are your greatest asset in your business. And so what else do you want or need room for? Your health, your partner, your kids, travel, friends, exercise, a Wednesday afternoon where you have absolutely nowhere else you're supposed to be except time for yourself. Because your business is part of your life. Your business is meant to be in service to your life. It's not supposed to be your life. And the beauty of entrepreneurship is that you get to make some of these decisions. You're the boss. And the way you make those decisions in the very beginning might look one way. And then as you grow, you'll evolve and they may look differently. And that's one of the reasons you're building the business in the first place. So don't accidentally give that freedom away. So now let's put these two traps together and let's paint a very different picture. What does a successful coaching practice actually look like? Right? Maybe it means that you're doing deeply meaningful work with clients that you genuinely care about. You're earning an income that supports the life you want. And I'd actually refine that and say you're earning a profit that supports the life that you want. Because in your business, it doesn't matter what you make, it matters what you keep. Right? Maybe a meaningful business to you is that there's white space on your calendar. A successful coaching practice can actually look like you're not constantly worried that if you say no to one opportunity, another one won't come up. A successful practice means that you know what you're focused on. You know what's enough for you right now in this moment. It looks like your business having room to grow without continually requiring you to give it more and more of yourself. And maybe my favorite measure of all, 5 years from now or 10 years from now, you still love the work you're doing. It still fuels your passion. You still have joy, whether it's working on the admin behind the scenes, working with the clients, working with the marketing, whatever aspect of your business, you still love the work. Like that's the definition of success. And your version of that business may look very different than the person next to you. You might want 10 private clients in a really spacious schedule. Somebody else might want to build a company that serves tens of thousands of clients, like what Ocean and I have created. Like I said, for me, I knew in the beginning I wanted that 7-figure mark because impact was my biggest driver. And the 7-figure was just the goal that represented that. Neither is more or less successful. And so the question is the business you're building aligned with the life that you want? Because the goal isn't to build the biggest coaching business you possibly can. The goal is to build the coaching business that's right for the life that you actually want. So these are the questions that I'm going to leave you with, right? And I want you to keep asking them, not right now as you get started, or not only right now, but always as you grow. What do I want my coaching practice to make possible for my clients? Right? That's impact. What do I want my coaching practice to make possible for me? That's usually the one that entrepreneurs forget to ask. And the third, what's enough? What's your enough? Your enough clients, enough income, enough growth, enough space. And your answers will change and let them evolve because it's not about creating an artificial ceiling. It's about being intentional instead of just automatically chasing more. I know and absolutely believe that you can build a successful coaching practice. You can do meaningful work in this world. You can create that impact and that money and that profit. And you can create a life that has room for the people and the things that matter to you. And that's what we're here to support you with. Right? So decide how you want to live while you're building the business. And that's what I mean by sustainable success. And that's what I'm here. It's why I love being part of the faculty in this with Tracy and Ocean and all of the others. And right now I want to turn it over to Tracy to see if we have any questions, any specific questions that have come up. Because I want to take the next, I don't know, 15 or so minutes. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen and let me turn that off. Or Ocean, we're going to turn it over to Ocean. There we go.
Yeah,
See what
hi. Well,
questions
I'm
we have.
not Tracy, but I'm the next best thing. Melinda, that was amazing. Thank you.
Yeah.
I just want to say this question of enough is so profound. It goes to the core of something, in a culture where just been enculturated to always want more, and we look at it in terms of caloric consumption. We look at it in terms of this sense of never being deeply satisfied because we're always chasing that next thing. And it's almost like our economy in some ways has been built on that, but we need to build another kind of way of living that is hopefully rooted more in what really gives us satisfaction, peace, and well-being. I was born in a one-room log cabin in the middle of the woods to parents who practiced yoga and meditation for hours a day, grew most of their own food, had beautiful nature around them, and earned almost nothing monetarily. I mean, we lived on like $1,000 a year. So I know that it's so relative. You can have financial wealth and feel poor. You can have financial poverty and feel rich. Obviously, we have certain basic needs. But beyond that, there's so much question of what are our values? What are our goals? What do we actually want for our lives? And so I just love how you've opened that up and looked at our own career development in that context. Thank you. Um,
Yeah, pleasure.
okay, so we do have some questions coming in, and let's see. Preciosa said, Ms. Melinda, thank you. You opened up my mind and helped me in a big way.
Good.
Um, Tracy said, as a coach, how do we teach our clients what to eat without practicing nutrition?
So as a coach, one of the things that you'll learn in this program, as a coach, we are here to, the way I describe it is hold the space, hold the intention, the idea to support our clients through their transformation. And so when we're working with our clients, um, we are hearing what their goals are. We're hearing what matters to them. We're providing accountability. We're listening. We're asking questions. We're reframing all the coaching skills that you're going to learn here. You'll be using those with your clients to help them on their journey. So that's the first thing that I want you to remember about what it means to be a coach. Do you actually have to do the thing that your client is doing? I mean, technically speaking, no. When you're coaching somebody through transformation, it's technically possible to coach them through their own journey. My background, my personal belief is I never ask my clients to do anything I haven't done or am not willing to do, because that understanding, that compassion, that knowing the journey, that relatability with my clients is also, it can really lend itself to the way I hear them, the way I listen to them, the way that I support them. So your question, if I understood it correctly, how do I teach clients what to eat without practicing nutrition? In this particular context, I'm not sure it's possible. Because they go so hand in hand. There's going to be some education that goes with it in order for them to change the habits and behaviors for them to eat better. Because in order to change the habits that our clients are going to need to change for a better lifestyle, they have to understand the why behind it, because that why is what fosters different actions. So
Yeah, and
I
and
think
there's
that's how
also
I
a
would answer
distinction
it.
between being a coach and being a medical provider, and we go into that in a great deal of depth in the program because you've really got to know what your lane is and how to live it fully and abundantly and fabulously, and also what your lane isn't, so you don't
Yep.
cross that bridge over and let doctors do what doctors do. You know, they
Yeah.
diagnose, they treat disease, they treat conditions. Coaches help people live their best lives, right?
Yeah.
And use diet and lifestyle to do that, right? Laura said, I'm thinking of what is enough. How do you put measurement on impact?
When you're thinking about what is enough, how do you put measurement on impact? For your impact, there's an exercise that I have in my book in Sustainable Success. I call, and we actually do this exercise as well in the program in Pillar 3. It's what I call stair step your why. And it goes like this. This is a quick answer, and then in the program we go deeper into this. But when I ask you, why do you want to become a coach? Why do you want to have your own business doing this work? And you answer that, whatever you answer. Then you ask, well, why is that answer important? And you answer that. And then you ask, well, why is that answer important? And you answer, and you keep asking, well, why is that next thing important? And you stair step your way, and you're going to begin to see what really matters to you, and that's going to begin to bring out what impact means to you as a
Mm-hmm.
business owner.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you start seeing what impact means to you as a business owner, it's going to be easier to put goals on that, like I did. I want to change the world one coach at a time. I'm like, oh gosh, well, how do I measure that? It's like, well, the more coaches that I can help be successful in business. And so you start asking clarity on all of your why statements, and that's going to help identify what goals to set to measure your impact
Yeah.
specific to you.
And I'll just speak a word on this that, I was recently in Ghana, and it struck me that, if I wanted to, my family could move to Ghana and live there on $10 per person per day, and I could retire pretty soon, and, we'd be set for life, right? But I wouldn't be able to do much in terms of the impact that I want to have with the skills that I have in this world, right? So for those of us who think about survival, it's one thing. For those of us who think about living the purposes for which we were born, sometimes it's a different equation. And so for me, I move out of enough into thriving, into optimal contribution, into living the most meaningful life that I can. And for me, sometimes that means playing on a bigger scale, because, I want to help end chronic disease epidemics. I want to help heal our planet. I want to help get animals out of factory farms. I want to help people reclaim their health and their lives. And that's not just about career, that's about impact, as you said, right? So for a lot of us, it comes back to what are our values, you
Yeah.
know, but I don't want to fall prey to the illusion that my value is about accumulating more stuff so I can spend more. Eventually, a lot of times things have us instead of us having things. When we have to pay off credit card debt for stuff that we didn't really need, right? So I'm interested in helping people have more freedom on every level, from sickness, from debt, from suffering, from pain, and more ability to live our gifts. And I also am a big fan of investing our financial resources in those things that truly matter to us and that truly align with our values, right? Whether that's healthy food, even though it costs more, or the training or the programs that really enrich our lives, those are the things that I want to invest in, you know, um, and with whatever resources I have in my life. So I think this question of enough really also comes back to for what and for why and for whom. And it gets to the core essence of who are we as human beings. There are people who have very fulfilling coaching practices and don't make a penny at it.
Yes.
They're helping people. They love that. That's their goal. That's wonderful, right? There are people who have abundant coaching practices making six-figure incomes, and they're reaching big audiences, and they love that. Not one is better or worse than the other. It just partly depends on your values, your resources, and your capacities. But we do want to help you with this program, which we'll get into a little more in specific soon, to really live into your values in the best way that you can. Lise said, what is the difference? And I guess I'll address this one between nutrition and lifestyle coaching and food as medicine. Do you have to be a medical professional to be a coach? And Elise, I want to say great question. So food as medicine is a powerful idea, and it's true that what we eat has a big impact on our health, right? We've been talking about that. It's primarily a concept that lives in the medical and clinical world where practitioners use dietary interventions to treat specific conditions. Nutrition and lifestyle coaching is something different because it's not about diagnosing or treating, it's about helping people make lasting changes to how they eat and move and sleep and manage stress and connect with other people. So a coach is not a doctor or a dietitian. A coach is someone who helps bridge the gap between what people know they should do and what they actually do through skilled listening, through powerful questions, and through evidence-based behavior change tools. So no, you absolutely don't need to be a medical professional to do this. Many of our graduates are nurses and dietitians and physicians who add coaching to their work. But just as many, more of them actually, are educators and caregivers and entrepreneurs and just individual folks whose health journey led them here. So what matters isn't prior clinical credential. Of course, that's going to affect what you do in your life. But what matters here most is a genuine desire to help people combined with the right training. Let's see. We have time for. Oh, we're just about out of time. Let me see if we can cover one more. Is there evidence that says in-person coaching is more effective than online?
No, what we find is that both are equally effective in different ways. Um, Zoom has become very helpful because it brings the online coaching. But when we are not with somebody, some people still work on the telephone, even like doing phone calls. When one sense is not present, the other senses heighten. So, for example, if you're on a phone conversation with somebody, you don't have the ability to see their body language or read their facial expressions, but your listening becomes much more acute. And so the different perspectives, different perceptions kick in. And there are nuances about conducting in-person coaching that are different than conducting online coaching. And it's important to learn those nuances, learn the technology, learn how to run that so that equally both can be as effective. But it's not that one is more important than the other. Both are equally as effective, whether it's one-on-one or in groups. Sometimes it comes down to a preference where your audience is, what's going to allow you to reach the people. So there's a lot of different factors into it. And again, those are some of the things that we cover and help you kind of sort through.
And here's a question that I know we don't have time to do justice, but you are the person to answer it. Carmel asks, what is the recommendation for a coach to charge a client?
Yeah. Okay. So that you're right, Ocean. We don't have time to do that one justice. But I'll say this, Carmel. Um, when thinking about what to charge, there's actually 5 ways to look at that to determine how to price your services. I'll say this quickly. What I don't want you to get into is trading time for dollars. I coach this much per hour or this much per session. That'll put a lid on you really quickly. It'll be hard to make money without you becoming the product, that first trap that I talked about. But in my book, The Professional Coach, I give you a matrix for 5 different ways to learn how to price your services. And I bring that matrix into the certification program. That's one of the beautiful things. By me being faculty on here, I teach you and walk you through that. And so we go through exactly how to do that because it's not cookie cutter. I can't sit here and say, oh, charge this much for this and this much for this. There's too many variables. And if anybody tries to tell you what that is, the heads up. But we do cover that in the program so that you can feel confident of the value you're bringing. You're not trying to gouge anybody, but you're not giving your services away. So we find that sweet spot, and I'll walk you through that for sure.
And Melinda, I just want to say how grateful I feel for your wisdom and insight. And I want folks to get, Melinda has helped tens of thousands of coaches to make meaningful careers coaching. I mean, this is like a life's work. There are a few people on the planet that have had more of an impact on the coaching field. And Melinda's work in this space is extraordinary. And to have her in this program, I mean, I just feel incredibly blessed. And so for those of you who do choose to move forward, you will have access to the opportunity to be in live conversations with Melinda, as well as lots of the curricula she's created to really go so much deeper than there was time for today. It just barely scratches the surface. But what a blessing from the decades of work she's put into this and the countless lives she has seen. I mean, this is real world experience. She's really seen it and help people walk through it. And so what a blessing. Melinda, thank you so much for being with us. I'm so grateful, and we'll let you move forward because we got to keep rolling.
Yes, you do. All right, have fun, everybody. So great to see you. And just remember, if this is something that's tugging at you, you don't have to have all the answers. You just have to take that first step and go on the path that people have been on this before. Follow your passion and create the life that you want. Thank you so much. I look forward to those that are going to be working together with us, and enjoy the rest of your time.
All right, thank you. Okay, friends, now I want to invite you right now to take a moment to kind of let this land, all right? So take a moment to settle. A lot of information has been coming your way, a lot of presentations. Feel your feet on the floor. If they're not on the floor, I invite you to put them on the floor and take one slow breath in and let it go. Actually, really do this with me, okay? Before we go further, I want to do something with you. So if you're comfortable, you can close your eyes or just soften your gaze. And I want you to picture a morning about a year from now. Imagine that you wake up and part of your work on this particular day is coaching with a client. Maybe it's simply a conversation with someone in your community who needs a little of what you now know. You don't have to picture something super dramatic. You're not necessarily on stage in front of 10,000 people. Picture something ordinary. You're going to have a phone call, a conversation over coffee, a supportive text message you send someone who's stuck. Now picture the moment right after. The person you just talked to or texted feels a little lighter, a little more possible than they did an hour ago. And you feel something too. Not because you fixed their whole life, because you were useful in a way that mattered to one specific human being. My friends, this is not a fantasy. This could be your average Tuesday for the coaches you're about to see in the next clip. So hold on to that image for a moment. We're going to spend some time going deeper into the Nutrition and Lifestyle Coaching Certificate Program. Before we tell you about what the program includes, I want to show you something, because the most important thing I can tell you isn't the curriculum or the bonuses. It's what our coaches are doing with what they learned. Let me show you what I mean by sharing a short video clip here.
This program has completely changed me in many, many ways, more than I can list. It's also helped me be more effective with my clients and help them to reach their health goals in a more positive and joyous way.
And afterwards, almost immediately afterwards, I teamed up with a global health and well-being brand. It's huge across the world, and their European headquarters is in London, near where I live. And so after much discussion and planning and really creating a vision for what we wanted to do, I came up with this idea of Heal London. And so that's what I'm spearheading. I'm the creative director of Heal London. And we are an education program, and we are helping people to shift from a toxin unhealthy lifestyle to a toxin free healthy lifestyle. And of course, one of the pillars is plant-based nutrition. And every month we have monthly events, and the lunch is prepared by a local chef, and it's completely plant-based, and everybody goes away absolutely loving the food, really sort of shouting to the rooftops about how amazing the food is. And even people who aren't plant-based themselves, they really appreciate the food that the chef has made for us. So
before FRN's coaching program, I was living my own transformation quietly, and I saw my occupational therapy role as strictly clinical: treat the diagnosis, move on. Now I have the credentials and the confidence to coach others through the same shift, not just tell them about it.
Before FRN, I worked full-time in information technology while studying to become a health coach. Now I'm retired, and I love coaching part-time. I have the flexibility to give my clients what they need to be successful in addition to our coaching sessions. That might look like practical cooking demonstrations, tips for using tools, grocery store tours, pantry makeovers, etc. I'm offering classes at our local Grange, and I guess that means I've officially become a change maker for our community.
So those are just a few little stories. There are so many of them, of real humans putting this into practice in their way, in their lives, in their communities. Real people on real Tuesdays, in real relationships. For many of them, this was not about a dramatic moment. It was something quieter, a conversation that shifted something, a client who came in defeated and left feeling like maybe they had a path forward, a person who finally felt heard. That's not a highlight reel. It's a job. It's the job. And it turns out the job is something that coaches tend to love. You know, over these couple of days, you've been doing something alongside our faculty that I want to name. On day one, you identified an area of your health or life you're ready to work on. You wrote down your current reality, where you are, how long it's been going on, and what it's actually costing you. And you let yourself dream. What would life look like if that obstacle were gone? And you distilled it into a bit of a vision written in your own words. On day two, if you were doing the workbook, and if you weren't, we love you. We're just sharing what might have happened if you did, okay? You planted a seed, a small, specific action tied to something that matters to you, with the moment in time attached to when you would do it. Now, today, we're taking the next step, and it's the one that determines whether everything you've built and opened over these days actually survives contact with Monday morning. To walk you through it, let me bring Tracy back on screen. Tracy, come on back here.
Hi everybody. Thank you, Ocean. So we're gonna do the last bit of our exercise together, helping others to learn how to or get in the practice of scanning life for their existing strengths, resources, and learning how to cultivate these so they can begin to build accountability and self-efficacy. This is what coaches do. First, your strengths. Look back at your seed goals. Ask yourself, what do I really have going for me here? Maybe it's a habit you already keep, something similar you've pulled off before, a personality trait that tends to serve you well, or a person already in your life who would support this without you even asking. You're not starting from zero. Name one strength or resource already in place and working for you in your favor. And here's why this step matters more than it sounds like it should. Most people, when they set a goal, immediately start listing what's wrong, what's missing, why they can't, what the obstacles are. So coaches are trained to do the opposite first. It's a complete shift in our default setting. We look for what's already working because a plan built entirely on fixing deficits runs on willpower, and willpower runs out. A plan that starts naming existing strengths runs on something steady and strong. The second piece is your accountability. And this is the piece that many goals skip. It's a piece that determines whether or not that goal survives past the first few days. Accountability tends to show up in one of a few forms, and I want you to pick the one that fits you, not the one that sounds the most impressive. It might be a person. Is there a partner, a friend, a colleague, someone that you check in with on purpose about this goal to support you? It might be a group, a community that expects you to show up, where an absence would be noticed. It might be a tool or a device, like a tracking app, a reminder, a wearable, something external that holds the thread when your memory will not. Maybe a journal. It might be journaling, really focusing in on writing it down somewhere you'll actually see it so that stays right in front of you instead of quietly fading away. But whatever it is, there's no wrong answer. There's only the one that is honest about how you actually function. So pick one and be specific, not, oh yeah, I'm going to find an accountability partner, but actually name that person that you're going to text today. Not, I will use an app, but which one? Download it tonight. Write both down, your strength and your accountability plan. One more thing before you write, and this is the part I want you to remember. The single biggest predictor of whether someone follows through on a goal isn't intelligence or motivation or how badly they want it or need it. It's whether someone else knows about it. The moment you tell even one other person what you're committing to, your odds of following through jump up considerably. That's not my opinion. That's one of the most consistent findings in behavior change research. So whoever you just named, tell them today if you can. Go ahead and text now if you can, but don't leave us because here's
or
what
maybe
I
in
want
an
you to
hour.
see.
Wait
Yeah,
an hour.
soon. Here's what I want you to see. Over the past few days, you have learned not just coaching, you've experienced some of it. someone walked you through identifying where you are and where you could go and turning it into action. And now we're naming what's working and we're building support around follow through. So I know it's been quick and real coaching goes longer, but this is the sequence and it is teachable and it is effective. It works whether you're doing it for yourself this weekend or for someone else for the rest of your life. I want to name something else. This third and final exercise of the weekend, it's easy to treat it like just another workbook page, but if you go ahead and appreciate what you have done on these past few days, it is something that you can honestly turn into a plan and be really proud of. And I want to appreciate you all for that. So this is the arc of coaching, and you just lived it. So this is the work, and now I want to keep on talking about how to keep that going. All right, quick call back for Ocean to come back so we can walk
Yep.
you through this program, what it really offers. As Ocean shared earlier, we evolved this program from the plant-based coaching certificate into the nutrition and lifestyle coaching certificate. So if you're a PBCC grad here with us, nothing about your credential is going to change. You're going to get this updated curriculum too. So whether you're already certified or you enroll today, everything we're going to cover now is what you will get. Okay, I promised I would share the slides, so
Here come the slides. All right.
yes, let me do that.
So many of you have done the work this weekend. Some of you are just popping in right now. Wherever you are on the journey, you are welcome. And if any part of you has been thinking, maybe this is for me, I want you to know we see you and we built this for you. If you're ready to take the next step, let us show you exactly what that might look like. Tracy and I are going to tell you more about this one-of-a-kind comprehensive training to help you decide if it is a right fit for you. As you heard across these 3 days, the system, the healthcare system, is waking up to what you already know. Food and lifestyle can change lives. And it's looking for people, and the world is looking for people who can help deliver that change. Maybe that's you. Here's how this program has evolved to meet this moment. It's now fully evergreen, so you can move at your own pace, starting the moment you're ready. Compared to prior years, it is more economical, both for us to deliver and for you to access. And it now includes the full lifestyle medicine picture, not nutrition alone. You already know our 3 pillars by now: nutrition and lifestyle, coaching, and impact. Let's move quickly through each one and talk a bit about what the program actually gives you. So pillar 1 is our deep evidence-based foundation in nutrition and lifestyle. You'll learn the essentials, the nutrients you need, the foods to minimize, and how to navigate the confusing world of supplements with confidence. You'll be equipped to help clients understand how healthy eating and healthy lifestyle can prevent, manage, and even reverse conditions like heart disease and obesity and type 2 diabetes and cancer. And you'll get clarity on the debates and myths most people ask about: protein, calories, carbs and fats, intermittent fasting. How much exercise do you need in a day? Is it better to go for intensive cardio push, or what's appropriate at different stages? How do you optimize sleep? What is the science of this? What about stress? How do you deal with social connection? How do you cultivate social connection, even if somebody feels alone or lonely in their lives? All of these things are in there. Nutrition doesn't stand alone. You'll also build real working knowledge of all of the pillars of lifestyle wellness, so you can understand not just what someone eats, but the whole context their health lives in. You'll be guided by leaders like Nicole D'Andrea Russert, MSRDN, Brenda Davis, RD, Michael Clapper, MD, and Roman Pollock, PhD, RD, to live calls and through our private student forum. You'll also hear from some of the most respected voices in nutrition and lifestyle wellness, like Dr. Joel Kahn, Susan Pierce Thompson, Dr. Columbus Batiste, Dr. Mimi Guarneri, Dr. Christy Funk, registered dietitians James and Dahlia Marin, and many other experts who bring depth and clarity and inspiration to this work.
Pillar 2 is focused on coaching. So this is all about empowering transformation. You'll learn how to inspire behavior change and support clients with confidence, clarity, and compassion. It's not just powerful, it is jam-packed with science. You'll be learning from myself, also Dr. Howard Jacobson, PhD, and Makini Duewa, NBC HWC, on live calls and in the forum. You'll also be learning from some of the most respected leaders in the world of coaching and behavior change. So think Margaret Moore, Erica Jackson, Elliot Connie, Nancy Stubbs, and many more. These guest faculty bring decades of experience and heart to the table as they guide you through the real-world application of coaching science. Together, we'll explore how real behavior change happens, drawing from powerful fields like positive psychology and proven techniques like motivational interviewing. Here's what that actually looks like in real conversation. So instead of telling a client what to do, you learn to ask the question that helps them find their own reason to do it. That shift from telling to asking is what separates a coach from someone who is handing out advice. You'll gain a deeper understanding about the social determinants of health, how to meet people where they are with cultural awareness and sensitivity. And by the end, you won't just understand the science of coaching, you'll be ready to guide others towards lasting, meaningful change. Your learning journey will weave Pillars 1 and Pillars 2 together, alternating your focus on both disciplines, module by module. For a more detailed look at the full curriculum with the learning objectives and summaries, we're going to share a link to that in the comments page in a moment. We'll share it also at the end.
Many programs don't offer real-time access to their experts. They just deliver you a bunch of recorded content, but that's not how we wanted to do this. So our calendar averages 3 live calls per month, and you get a full year of access to all of the live call calendar. That means 36 live calls, each of which is 90 minutes long, with our lead faculty. And attendance at these is not required to graduate. If you can't join live, there's recordings and transcripts available, and so you never miss the learning, and you don't have to participate. But for many people, it is that live engagement that creates that circle of accountability, coherence, and connection that makes it so transformative. Deep dives in nutrition and lifestyle and coaching give you dedicated time with lead faculty where you can ask your questions and go deeper into pillars 1 and 2. And there's also a space there where new stuff is getting learned all the time. And you could bring up, hey, I just saw this medical journal article, or I just heard about this study. What's going on there? And you can hear from somebody who can parse apart the hype from the reality and stay on the leading edge of nutritional science and lifestyle science as it's unfolding. There are also our practice pods, the test kitchen we've built for you to practice the fundamentals of real-world coaching. Through guided activities and small group breakouts, you get the opportunity to build confidence and develop practical coaching skills you'll actually use with clients. And by the way, you also get coached in the process, which is super transformative for our participants. If the live calls are our test kitchen, then think of the student forum as the kitchen table. It's a place where students can connect with one another and share ideas and bring questions to faculty as they come up, no matter when they arise. This is where asynchronous learning really comes to life. And there's something especially exciting about this new forum. We're opening it up to students from our past cohorts as well. That means you won't just be learning alongside the students who start with you. You'll have access to a growing community of people who've already taken the journey, now 800 strong, who are putting these skills into practice and can share their experiences and their insights and their questions. We think there's something really powerful about creating a space where current students and alumni and faculty can learn from each other. It expands your community, it gives you more perspectives, and it means the conversation doesn't have to end when you finish the program. Now, let's not forget about our third and final pillar, which is the impact pillar. This is the one most certification programs skip entirely, the part where you actually take what you've learned and turn it into a life, a business, or a role. If you like, a path to economic viability as well, where you can get paid to do this work. This is the bonus pillar you can use to design your own mission-forward path, whether that means building a business or finding fulfilling work or driving change in your community. And we offer 3 powerful tracks. So there's the Entrepreneur Collection, led by Melinda Cohen, where you build your own business with world-class tools in branding and marketing and client attraction. There's also the Employment Collection with Teresa Keppel. And this is where you can learn how to land work in clinics and wellness centers and health organizations with resume guidance and networking and interview prep skills. And then third is the Changemaker Collection, which I host along with Leanna Levine Reisner. This is where you learn about creating systemic change through policy and partnerships and grassroots education.
Okay, so what's included in this training? Well, it is designed to be 100% online, flexible, and self-paced. You'll have instant unlimited access to the learning platform and the student forum the moment that you enroll with no expiration date. Every lesson comes in video format, audio format. You have a written transcript. Everything is cited. The science is there. You get slides. So whatever your learning style is, it's all there for you to work with. You'll also get resources, practices, rebrandable client handouts, and assessment tools. And all of our content has been peer reviewed and research cited.
Can I just emphasize rebrandable client handouts? That's just a few words, but that's a big deal, right? Like,
yeah.
How many of them are there?
We have over 200 resources throughout the program. As you walk lesson by lesson, you have a whole new batch. But we pulled out the most essential and created a toolkit. And that toolkit is the ones that are rebrandable. And of course, if anybody wants anything else specifically rebranded, all you have to do is ask. I mean, that's how we built the toolkit to begin with.
Right. So that's just an incredible resource because you can give clients with your logo on it and your name well-researched, well-thoughtful, well-designed content on a whole range of topics. Okay, back to you, Tracy. Didn't mean to interrupt you. I just wanted to emphasize that because I think that's a big deal.
It is, and I'm glad you did because we did get a question about it earlier. So we just addressed that question right now.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. You also have, the 3 Impacts collections, which are all the business and marketing resources that help you build the business and life you want. You'll have access to our full plant-based recipe database. Okay, this is another huge one. We have, what are you up to now?
1,400 recipes, yeah.
1,400. Oh goodness, I was going to say 1,000. That's yeah. And so you can support yourself and your clients with healthy, delicious meals, and it's so user friendly. That database, just put in broccoli. It's great. And you'll also have the access to the live calls that I mentioned for a full year from the date you enroll. There are only 2 requirements to graduate. One is to complete a final exam with a passing score of 80% or higher. 2, your tuition must be paid in full before you have access to that exam. And what about after you graduate? Well, whether you decide to pursue national board certification or not, we stay with you on your journey. You have our ongoing email support, forum support, the option to schedule one-on-one time with our program coordinator or mentor whenever you need it, and continued access to our Facebook alumni group, which is an incredible community of fellow coaches. So you're not just earning a credential here, you're gaining a community. It's a group of people who are really doing this work, really making a difference. The people you saw in the videos over the past few days, and your growth as a coach doesn't stop the day that you take your exam. We keep showing up for you through ongoing support long afterwards.
So let's talk about pricing. So retail price for the program is $3,997 if you pay in full. There are also payment plan options. There is a workshop special available through end of day tomorrow. If you're watching the replay of this, it may even be less time, but Monday, August 24th, end of day, and that is a $500 discount. So that brings it to $3,497 if you pay in full. And there are payment plans to help make this more accessible, which comes to 6 payments of $589 or 12 payments of $299 a month. And there is a 30-day full refund policy, so you can cancel within 30 days of your enrollment date and get a full refund, so you can dive in and take advantage of the workshop special and know that there's no risk to you if you don't love it. Refund rate is very low, but we love to give you that security of knowing that you're protected. Again, this special workshop pricing ends tomorrow, August 24th at midnight Eastern Time. Also, there are over $2,800 worth of bonuses that come with enrollment. You'll get a 2-year membership in Whole Life Club, which is FRN signature membership community. That's a $394 value. You get 2 years worth of Food Revolution Summit empowerment packages, the current year and also next year's summit when it comes out in April. You'll get our 14-day plant-powered accelerator. You'll get Unlocking Longevity, which is the last course that my dad ever taught. And you'll get a discounted accelerated pathway to national board certification through Lifestyle Prescriptions University's Lifestyle Medicine Works coaching certification. So you get a 25% discount and an accelerated pathway. So if you want to get board certified with the National Board of Health and Wellness Coaches, which many of our graduates do, then that's an accelerated pathway and again a $588 discount towards that next step. And you get special pricing with Coaches Console, which is an all-in-one system to launch, manage, and grow a coaching business. This is a company that Melinda started, and that's a $1,200 value if you take advantage of that discount. So those are a bunch of bonuses that come with the program that we just wanted to name. And I want to talk a bit about what our promise is. So our promise to our coaches is, whether you're brand new to this work or you're already a certified coach, after this training, you will walk away with a solid education in nutrition and lifestyle science, a practical and effective coaching skill set, a business and marketing tools that you need to help you make your dreams a reality, and ongoing access to a like-hearted, like-minded community, and the ongoing professional mentorship and support of our team. We're here with you.
So I want to share this QR code, and if anybody wants to take a picture of it or scan it, it goes directly to our sales page where you can learn more about us, our training, and our students. There are frequently asked questions that are at the bottom of that page. It should address a wide range of our most common questions. We also have information sessions, and the next one will be Wednesday, September 16th. I'll go ahead and drop that link in the chat as well. And I'm also getting, I'm already getting these booked, Ocean. I'm so excited. People want to talk to us. So clarity calls. If you're not ready to enroll right now, or you want to talk it through with one of us face-to-face on a Zoom call, schedule a clarity call with us. This is a one-on-one Zoom call with one of our program advisors. You can speak with Howie or McKinney or me about the program and your goals to see if it's the right fit for you. How it works is you schedule your call, and then you look for a separate email with your Zoom confirmation and link. And when it's time, you just click that link to join the Zoom call. Nobody calls you. You have to click that button and join that Zoom call. You can use the QR code you see here on the screen, and we'll also share a link to book time in the comments.
And by the way, the broadcast page also has both of these links, the sales page and the clarity call button. So you don't have to use the QR code if you don't have a second device right there or whatever. Don't worry.
Yeah, thank you for naming that. Thank you. So our team's time, of course, is limited, and we want to talk to as many people as possible. So please take these appointments seriously for your sake and ours. Try to avoid the cancellation, no-show, rescheduling situation. It does have a big impact on us. I think it is time to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, I think it is. But first, I just want to say how excited I am that y'all are here with us right now in this conversation. We really hope that we have lit a fire in you to be a part of the health and wellness revolution and to see the power of coaching as a part of that, right? Not just knowledge, not just books, not just videos, but human interaction. And we hope that you are willing to take your place. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to be a part of this revolution in your unique way. And we have designed this program to offer what we believe is a best in class and as affordable as possible transformative journey. You've seen some of the videos, you've heard from some of our graduates over the course of this workshop, and there are so many more. The stories are profound, and the impact on your life could be massive, not to mention the lives of the people you can touch. There's an old saying that if you want to know what kind of person you'll be in 5 years, look who you're spending your time with today. So who do you want to spend time with? If you want to spend time with other kindred spirits, the kind of people who are drawn to this program, the kind of people who enroll in this program, our amazing faculty, I would venture to say that that will have a transformative impact. And we draw in amazing people, courageous, committed, kind, compassionate people who are up to something. If that sounds like you, and if that sounds like who you want to be around, this is our invitation and our opportunity. So we hope you'll enroll because I think it could do a lot of good for you and a lot of other people. And now let's go to your questions. Okay, Linda said, since our coaching will include health and lifestyle, is insurance required for a coaching business like malpractice insurance for doctors?
Yes. Well, yes and no. I will say that it is not required because we're not licensed professionals. We're certified professionals, and there is a difference in that. However, and similarly, we're not required to practice HIPAA compliance, as example. But the code of ethics in coaching that we've all been striving for, the national recognition we've been striving for as a coaching community, calls us to hold the highest possible standards around this for ourselves. So we highly encourage, strongly encourage professional liability insurance or general liability insurance. We talk about it in the program specifically. And so you don't have to, but it's strongly recommended.
All right, thank you. Effie asked, how many certified coaches have gone through the program? I think we have about 400 something that have graduated and passed the exam at this point.
I think we're at, the last I checked was 470
Okay.
something. Yeah,
Yep,
so
and it's
almost
going up all the time
500.
because we just completed another cohort and those folks are just doing their exams now. So it's going up, up, up. Yeah, 470. That's exciting. That's a powerful community of folks who are changing lives all over the world, right? You get to be a part of that if you want to. Kamat L said, in this certification program, how much of the templates and client intake forms and educational information does the program provide for the coaching students so that we don't have to create everything ourselves? I think we actually address that. Dozens and dozens of brandable handouts that you can use. You don't have to create any of it, but you can share it, and we stand behind all of it.
I have to just add to that I couldn't, in my almost 16 years of practice, I couldn't come up with one more thing a coach could possibly need that we don't provide in this program for a handout or a resource or material. And in the off chance, and there has been a couple of times where we've been requested to have something and we've built it. So just know that we're always evolving and adding.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. We are all the time. Okay. Olelo asks, can you repeat when the training starts and what time? Here's the beautiful thing. It starts when you're ready. We used to have it just once a year in January, right? And that was great for people who wanted to go through that particular timeline. For a lot of people, they were like, wait, I can't start in January, I'm traveling, or I want to start now, or all sorts of things. So now you start when you're ready and you have access to all of the curricula for life and for the life of the program. And you have a year's worth of live support from all of our faculty with all of the practice pods and all the calls and everything. So yeah, that's the deal. Get going if you want to. You could start tonight. And then Mary asked, you have access to the materials after you graduate. It's actually better than that, Mary. You have access to the materials and the updates as they come out. So we are constantly improving on this and adding to it and enhancing it. And you'll get all of that updated so you can know the latest. And some people take the programs more than once, which is awesome because it does sometimes go in on a deeper level when you take it more. And this is not a basic beginner level curricula. This is fairly intensive. These are real experts sharing expertise. And so it's nice to take the time to go a little deeper if you want to.
Right. Yeah, you just mentioned the experts, and I'm not delivering the lesson on circadian rhythm and sleep science. That's Aisha Sherzai, so these are PhD level instructors that you're getting this info from.
Evie said, please define the difference between NBHWC and this program.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the NBHWC is an organization that is standing for health coaches in medical settings, and it's specifically for health and wellness coaches. So they are the organization that sets up the exams and issues the board certification. They have a very narrow and specific, almost prescribed curriculum, and it would not include any nutrition. It wouldn't include any, the lifestyle education and science that we're so committed to as a company. So we have all of Pillar 1, for example, wouldn't even be recognized by them. So what we're doing here is building an FRN certified program. And so we are a globally recognized brand, and our coaches are world, leaders in this movement. And so that's the main difference is you can be an FRN certified coach and work anywhere in the world. If you choose to get an advanced board certification, then you have to commit to a specific live training that's an intensive few months focused only on the coaching skills.
Yep, it's a beautiful compliment. It
Yeah.
really is.
And that is how most of the programs are set up, by the way, just to mention, like if you looked at IIN or Precision Nutrition or any of the other, leaders in the field like us, their initial course is what they really want to get across to the world. And then there's this, adjunct that's the prescribed coaching methodology from the NBHWC.
Right.
But it is worth saying that we do bake that in also to our course.
Yeah, yeah, and having the fast track with a 25% discount is a big jump for that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you just reminded me, Ocean, we brought the price down this year considerably with this new evergreen ongoing enrollment. We have new technology now that really allowed us to be able to drop the price so much from last year that we could comfortably say, instead of it being 5,000 just for our training, you could be all in as a board certified coach and do our training plus the additional training now all for under 5,000, which is
Yeah, or
pretty
maybe just a
phenomenal.
little over, but yeah, it's and that really we're trying to make this as accessible as possible because we want as many people as possible doing this. This is part of our goal, right? Randy said I'm already overcommitted with other courses. Is enrollment ongoing so I could start at a later date? Also, is recertification every year required to keep certified? And I'll just address that real quick, Randy. So you can enroll later if you want to. That's fine. Now with our new model, it's not just a once a year thing. However, you will lose the $500 discount that's available for the workshop price that ends tomorrow night. So, but then, with that additional price, that's ongoing. So you can come in whenever you like. And recertification is not required every year. Once you've passed the exam, you can say that you are an FRN certified nutrition and lifestyle coach for as long as you want into the future. We will have in the future some various kind of next level things that we're still cooking up for people who are kind of higher next level certified, I'll say, that we vetted on a deeper level and that may be listed on our site. And we're still figuring out all of that. So stay tuned. That we want to create more opportunities to bring our million members into contact with our certified coaches in ways that make sense. We're figuring that out now. But certainly the basic certification is a one and done situation, although you have access ongoingly. Okay, let's see. We got lots more. Lau asks, does the FRN coaching program also focus on supplement recommendations? Yes. Yes, we have quite a bit on that actually, because it's very important to understand the right and wrong use of supplements and when and how and for whom. And there are specific nutrients that are important to pay attention to for plant-based eaters. Every dietary pattern has its strengths and weaknesses. And so we just want to shore up the weak spots so that people can be strong everywhere. And supplements can be a part of that picture for some people. Joanne asked, yesterday the coaches had a medical background and our training. Is lack of this background going to impact my ability to coach effectively? No. Tracy is shaking her head. No.
Yeah, no, I mean we have coaches with such a wide variety of background. I mean, I don't have a medical background, and we find that some of our strongest coaches come with a very diverse or translatable skills from totally different fields, engineers, educators, whatever. So no, you definitely don't need to have a medical background. And we're going to give you all of the nutrition and lifestyle education that you would need to have an educated conversation with somebody who was asking for that information.
Laura asked, is a business license required for coaches?
A business license?
No, not to be a coach. I mean, I suppose in some countries it's possible, but certainly not in the United States. If you want to, certain business licenses can be used for certain kinds of businesses, but I don't think you need a license to charge money to do coaching and take credit cards online and all that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Obviously you have to pay your taxes, but that's just part of life. And there's sometimes you want to start a business for tax reasons, an S corp or whatever, because it can be tax beneficial to do so, and you can write off expenses differently. So talk to your accountant about that before you charge money. Let's see. Kathy said, how do I sign up now? I love that question. So if you're on the broadcast page, you will probably see a link to the program. If you scroll down a little bit, Become a Certified Coach is the orange button. So you go there, or you go to certificate.foodrevolution.org. If you're watching this on YouTube or something, and you need to type in the URL, certificate.foodrevolution.org, and you can sign up right there. Olelo Pa'a said, I thought there was live calls and breakout rooms. When does that happen and what time? If you're referring to this event, we are live and we're not doing breakout rooms in this workshop. In the certificate, there are live calls, 3 per month and at least, and there are breakouts and practice pods and ways that team members, program members can self-organize in all kinds of ways to connect with each other. And as far as what time, do you want to address time of day for the live events?
Sure, yes. So our live call schedule is pretty diverse. We normally hold calls in the middle of the week, like a Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we're leaning into faculty and our faculty schedules. So we have some faculty that are in Europe. So like Howie, he has an early schedule. We have Makini Duewa, who's West Coast in the US, a Pacific Coast schedule. I'm on the East Coast. So our faculty is in like a variety of time zones. So we have a variety of call times. We try to deliberately make sure we hit, a variety of possibilities for people, because we know that it's, not everything is going to work for everybody all the time. So.
Yes, thank you. And it's a global community. There's a strong center in the US, but it's really very global. I don't know all the countries, but probably dozens of countries in our alumni pool right now. Randy asks, what is the average amount of time it takes to go through the course? Although I know it will vary depending on how much time one commits weekly.
Yes. Yeah. So it is self-paced, but when we did control the pace, meaning like we would choose what to release every week, we paced it for people. add about a 5 hours a week investment if you wanted to move through it in 5.5 months, 6 months. We had a couple weeks of break in there. So if you were to average about 5 hours a week of time in it, it would probably take you about 6 months. If you wanted to sit and, burn through it like a Netflix special, you totally could. And that's the difference between now and the way it was before. You can move through it at as fast as you want to.
And then, of course, the live calls as much as you want, right? A lot of people love that connection and that transformation that comes out of that and the deeper learning. And even if you didn't have questions, you hear other people's questions and suddenly you're curious about that too, right? And then there's also the um, um, the impact pillar. So that's not included in what Tracy was just describing because it's not required to pass the exam. So pillars 1 and 2 are required to pass the exam, but then the impact pillar has the 3 different tracks, right? So there's entrepreneurship, there's employment, and there's impact or community impact. And so we look at all 3 of those, and all of that is a wonderful pathway depending on where you are. And some people like to do all 3 tracks and then they can like see what resonates because it's just great to learn and cool to explore. But that's application could be anything, right? I mean, if you start a business, it could be full time. So, but that's sort of the next level, right? And it depends how far you want to go with it. We have people that are absolutely full time in this, and you've seen some of them in this program. We have a lot of people that aren't. They're just toe dippers from a professional standpoint, but they are really passionate about implementing and learning and growing and contributing to the lives of others. And it's a huge spectrum of ways that that plays out. And I just love all of it, right? We have a biodiversity of paths to impact in this health revolution movement. Randy said, please describe the access process to the course once it is paid. What is the journey? When someone buys the course and says, okay, I'm in, what happens, Tracy?
Yeah, well, I'm happy to be able to share about this because it's brand new and we really just built it. So what we intend for students to do is once they enter the program is to land on an orientation module. And the orientation module we find it is required because we've found in the past that skipping that meant a lot of confusion. So we've really streamlined the entire experience, the whole learning experience. So you have to go through this orientation so you know where things are, how to get the most out of the program, how to get support when you need it from our team, how to connect with one another, what we expect from people on the live calls when they show up. This is a professional training course. So we want people to take it that way, and show up with their full hearts, and there's a certain way to hold space and respect one another in these public spaces. So we just want to make sure all of that is clear before diving in. And then once you finish that orientation, the program unlocks and you start from the beginning, and lesson 1 is available to you. And as soon as you finish that, you go to lesson 2 and you just keep on rolling. When at the end of the module, there'll be a short practice quiz to just test the knowledge of what you learned. As soon as you're done with that, the next module unlocks completely. So you are in control of the pace, and you can even listen to videos on double time if you're that kind of person. I know I am. So
I start multitasking if I go at regular speed sometimes. I just I have to keep my brain on peak alert or else it like jumps. So I don't know what that says about me, but yeah, I'm a 1.5x person usually.
yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Umaira asked, does this qualify for financial aid or scholarship? And Umaira, what I'll say to that is we do have a very limited number of scholarships. Our focus is twofold here. One is people who would need the financial support in order to participate. But more importantly, actually, we're looking for the impact they can make on historically marginalized communities, people that might not have access to this kind of information otherwise. And so we're looking for people who have the capacity to reach a lot of people, who are already well connected, have built trust, have built webs of relationships, and can use what they learn here to make a real difference. So that's kind of the criteria for scholarships. If you think it might be a fit for you, write us at certificate@foodrevolution.org. Keep in mind, we're not wanting folks to apply for scholarships who don't need it and wouldn't use it in that way, because there's a limited number, and we'd obviously need the tuition to be able to make all this possible, right? There's a lot of resources that go into this program on an ongoing basis. That said, we are grateful to be able to offer scholarships to the people who can leverage that scholarship to help us change the world, focusing on the communities that need it the most. Let's see, Laura said, thank you for a fabulous 3 days of learning about this program. FRN is the highest standard on this education. This work is so important, and I'm excited that you're helping so many people become coaches to help your message reach so many more people. You're making a difference. Thank you, Laura. Okay, Marilyn said, do we have to complete the course in a particular time frame, like within the year? If so, how much time per week does the training session take? We covered part of that, but do you have to finish it within a certain time frame, Tracy?
No, no, and that hasn't changed. We still have people crossing the finish line from last year and the year before. So people move through this clearly, truly at their own pace. What will expire would be your access to the live call schedule. So that live call schedule you have access to for 1 full year from the date that you enroll. So just keep that in mind. So we've had people even say, I can't move through all of the lessons right now, but these live calls are enriching in and of themselves, and they want to just join the calls and then do the course material later. Like, that's fine too. So you do have the course material for life.
Trina said, if we're already in Whole Life Club, how does the free 2 years work? Well, Trina, thanks for asking. So yeah, some of you may already be Whole Life Club members. That's awesome. Good for you. So that's a bonus. So without any bonus, it's not part of the core product, but it's a offer. So if you want to, you could cancel your existing membership and then take advantage of 2 free years. And then at the end of that, if you want to, renew your Whole Life Club membership again, you can do that. So that's kind of the most bang for the buck approach if you want to do that. That's kind of how that might work. Let's see, Sharon said, where can we find information for those who are already FRN plant-based coaching certified? So yeah, we'll be in touch over email with y'all, with coming up shortly, links to go log into the new platform that we've built out for nutrition and lifestyle coaching certificate, and all of our previous cohorts will have access to that as a free upgrade. Let's see, Adrian asks, is this certification recognized by the International Coaching Federation?
Yeah, it's interesting. We're not pre-approved by the ICF. That said, I don't know if there is a way to submit your training for credits directly. I know like RDs are able to do that as example. They can submit training for credits, but it's a lot easier for everybody when we are pre-approved. So no, we're not pre-approved by the ICF, but we are.
That's a good example of the kind of thing that we're always innovating. So maybe we will be next year. So if you have thoughts about, if you know anything about how that works, feel free to reach out. Otherwise, maybe we'll put that on our long list of things to do to see if we can weave that in there. We're just responding to what would help people, and our community as we go. David said, can't wait to see who else is in there with me and looking forward to helping people live their best lives. Awesome, David. Let's see. Anne Marie said, is the training and client material suitable to working with people who want to be more of a plant-forward or flexitarian lifestyle diet, i.e. fish and lean animal proteins included?
Absolutely. Yeah, this is a huge topic for the entire program. Meeting people where they are, asking, how far they want to take their plant-based eating or their plants in their diet. We are not trying to persuade everybody to become 100% whole food plant-based. We want to do what's right for that person in front of them. We want to be of service to them and their goals. So yeah, we cover that big tent approach very thoroughly throughout the training. We have a lot of discussions about it.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, Wendy said the workshop has been very informative and inspiring. I'm excited to take the course and continue learning more about nutrition and lifestyle coaching. Thank you for such a great introduction. Wonderful, Wendy. We look forward to seeing you there. Mary said, is content geared toward coaching adults, or does it include working with children?
I think that majority of the content is more adult targeted. That said, we have a lot of students that are very interested in it for their children, and it's such an easy translation to children. I know that Nicole D'Andrea Russer, for example, that you met on Friday, if you were with us Friday or saw the replay, she's very, very focused on bringing this information to children specifically. So it's very translatable, and we can help you to translate any of it for children in the forum.
And Brenda Davis, who is part of our lead faculty, she co-wrote the book Becoming Vegan, which is a bestseller, and it has a major section on children as well as pregnancy and plant-based nutrition. So there's a lot of great resources there. And also she's obviously in the faculty, so you can ask her direct questions about things should you so desire. That said, we haven't made children a core focus. So it's more of an auxiliary and translatable thing than a direct focus. Joseph said the need for supplements comes up again and again, contrasted against the fact that supplements are always derived from, and therefore by definition not, whole foods, often described as just a waste of money. Please clarify. Well, Joseph, we don't have time to go into all of that in depth. It is a fierce debate. We are Food Revolution Network, so we are all pro whole food first. That said, I'm pro whatever works to help somebody live the best, healthiest life, and that's aligned with their values. And so I think that, I look at the research, and one interesting thing is it is fairly doable to study supplements because you can give people placebo. You can't really do that with broccoli, right? So you can placebo control a study. So there's been a lot of good research, and we find that often studies are not as effective. They may raise blood levels, but they don't actually create the whole portfolio of benefits we associated with those higher blood levels. But sometimes they do have benefits over time. So we want to look at what the research actually shows. And there are some supplements like B12, for example, or getting your vitamin D levels up to a good level if they're low. Vitamin D supplements can really help. So there are some things, calcium as well, for postmenopausal women, especially in concert with vitamin D and vitamin K2, really, really helpful, especially for vegans. So there's some supplements that we see beneficial. There are some that we see not so beneficial, like beta carotene, for example, or some others that are actually possibly harmful. And so we just like to look at the research on that. And there is a lot on that in the course. Are all pillars included in the price? Asked Lau. Yes, they are all included in the price. Let's see. Margaret said, I love how Ocean appreciates a good sauce over everything. I would join anything he does just to obtain his wisdom, along with all the other people on the team, of course. Thank you, Margaret. You're so sweet. Sarah said, I may just have my Android phone. Would I be able to complete all aspects of this course on an Android?
I think that if you are, this depends on you, I think, more than the Android. So some people are really great at being able to read on their phone. Other people need to print everything. So it depends on you, how you consume learning. You can certainly watch the videos on your Android. You can certainly join our live calls on the Zoom from your Android. You can certainly engage in the forum on your Android. If there's anything that you might struggle, like needing two screens at the same time, it would be if you wanted to watch the slides at the same time as you were, well, you could play the audio. No, I think you'd be fine. And also our team is always here to support you. So as soon as if you signed up and you hopped in and you had any problems, just reach out. We're so good at working through this stuff with people. We've been tech-based since our inception, right?
Yeah, it's one of the cool things about being an online business, right? Okay, Sylvia said, I'm interested in obtaining the CDR credits when available. Will you let us know when they approve so I can plan the test after that time? Of course, I'm assuming that the course will be approved, though it's not a guarantee. Absolutely, we will. And we hope to have that in place before long. We just can't make any claims about it unless or until it happens. But we had it in place for plant-based coaching certificate. All we've done is add some highly credible content on lifestyle to that already approved body of content. So there's no reason to think that this won't be approved for CEUs with the Commission on CDR.
Dietetic registration.
Right. Yeah. Thank
It's
you.
a mouthful. I know.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Sherry said, thank you for the FRN. I have so much to learn, but on reflection, I've already grown tremendously from the knowledge gained in the past 3 years. My iWatch says in 1 year, my activity level has increased almost 300%. Thank you. My commitment to help my brother-in-law is failing health and my daughter's work with the Mayo Clinic. I'm unable to commit to the coaching at this time. As a former teacher and coach, I know this will be my goal for my future. Thank you for offering this opportunity for people to grow, nurture our environment, and protect our world. Sherry, thank you, thank you, thank you. We're so grateful you're here and here for your family. We're looking forward to welcoming you when the time is right. And thank you for being a part of our community in Food Revolution. Randy said, how do we get to the orientation module? Email? Yes. When you make a purchase, you'll be sent an email with all your details, and we actually encourage you to save it because it's got different links and you can come back to that. And you can also bookmark stuff. But yeah, it's pretty simple and straightforward. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to click the link and do the thing. We tried to make it as simple as possible. Canel said, is it hard to follow the course if you're not a native speaker? I'm Swedish. My vocabularies in medical fields are so la-la. I'm going to say that we do try to make it pretty digestible. And of course, that's also why we have transcripts of everything. So if you find that easier, or you can, you could probably even easily run that transcript through an AI tool or, and get it translated if you find it easier to be able to read along in your native language, I would think, while also watching videos if you want to. We don't put a lot of jargon in there. That said, it depends on your level of fluency. If you've been following this workshop, you'll probably be fine in the course as well. Lena said, for the 3 tracks in Module 3, are all 3 required, or do we have to choose just one? They're not all 3 required, and they're all available to you, and you don't have to choose just one. You can do all 3, you can do one of them, you can do none of them, depending on what your motivations and goals are. Let's see. Marialina said, when is the next orientation live call? Is there a live call for it?
No live calls for orientations. Yay. It's going to be there so you can watch it as many times as you want to. That was the reason for building it within the platform, because, it's a lot of information. So you're going to hear something and there's no way you're going to be able to remember all of it. So there it will be for all of posterity.
Yeah, great. But there are a lot of live calls with faculty ongoingly.
Oh, yes. Oh, definitely.
So you can jump in and connect with your peers.
Mm-hmm. Our
there's
live
lots of
call
opportunities
schedule,
for
it's super robust. It's 3 calls a month, so almost every week, just about every week.
Yeah. Den said, thank you. This was an amazing 3 days. Are live calls recorded? Yes, they are. Anne said, I'm having trouble booking a one-to-one call from this page. Keep getting an error message. Okay, write to us at certificate@foodrevolution.org. and our team will help you out. I'll say that again a little more slowly. certificate@foodrevolution.org is the email address for follow-up questions if you have them about clarity calls or other aspects here. Shirley said, thank you so much. It's been an inspiring last couple days of learning and sharing. Is it possible to see a snapshot of the specific course curriculum? Yes, on the sales page, I think we have a link to get the curriculum, right? Again, if you go to certificate.foodrevolution.org, that's certificate.foodrevolution.org, or click the link on the broadcast page towards the bottom to become a certified coach, that takes you to the sales page. You'll also get emails from us after today with that link. The curriculum is linked from that page, so you can see in depth, full detail, what you're going to get, right? Okay, Lorianne said, thank you for all this positive energy and valuable information. I appreciate it. Kelly asked, does the program cover anything particularly relevant to chronic pain and chronic anxiety?
We have one lesson that is specifically on inflammation, and it covers pain and autoimmune disease as well. We have another, what was the second one that she asked? The second thing?
Um,
Pain and
chronic anxiety.
anxiety. We have a lesson also on mood regulation and how
Right.
food affects that from Dr.
When I do. Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
thank you.
Yep. Yep. Okay, let's see. Why are the live coaching calls limited to 1 year when the rest of the program is evergreen? Asked Anne Marie.
Mm.
Well, because I think you'll find 1 year is quite a lot, but we want to create some structure for people to like complete it in that time. It used to be 6 months. We've expanded it now to a year with this new release. We will create some ongoing alumni communities and support. So stay tuned for that. But at this point, we don't want to sort of commit ourselves to something that goes on forever because we don't know. We need to have some flexibility for the program to evolve over time, but we're committed to that year. Um, okay, let's see. I'm just seeing here, okay, some sweet messages. Is the exam and certification included in the price? Asked Robbie. Yes, it is included. For our alumni who are plant-based coaching certified, who also want to be nutrition and lifestyle coach certified, there's like a $97 upgrade fee for that exam. We'll be in touch with you all more. But for all of the current new folks coming aboard, it's just included completely. Yes. All right, lots of sweet comments, but we're not going to get to all of those right now because time is limited and we want to wrap up soon. But we do have a question from Mary that I know you'll be able to answer, Tracy. I have completed the IIN coaching program. Is your program comparable or how does it differ?
The IIN coaching program. Well, the IIN has a couple of coaching programs. They have their main one and then their advanced coach training. And I've actually done both of those, and they're fantastic programs. Our program focuses more on, so with IIN, they don't really get behind or promote any one style of dietary eating or approach. They cover really the gamut from, as you know, every single different dietary theory. And that really doesn't land where the science supports better health. So we're just doubling down on our whole food plant-based angle, and which is supported by the science of the American College of Lifestyle Medicine and more. And that's where our focus is. So that's the major difference. And I think that's it.
Yeah.
Oh, and
Cindy's,
I would just want to add actually that our coaching curriculum is far more robust. We really dig into the skills from the MBHWC, so it's really apples to oranges.
yeah. I mean, we have a nutritional philosophy, whereas theirs is fairly agnostic, and ours is based on the research as we see it. And we go a lot deeper there. Yeah. We also offer a lot more life support for the whole year as well, right?
Mhm.
Okay, so Cindy said on the MBHWC website, I do not see this program on their approved programs. I think that's because you're looking for programs to get MBHWC certified as opposed to CEUs. So this is approved for CEUs, right? For existing health certified coaches. But if you want to become an NBHWC certified coach, then we have the fast track relationship where you can do this and then jump forward to get that next step for a discount.
Mhm.
Okay, Melanie said, is the dietitian certification the same as CMEs or CEUs for medical professionals like docs and RNs? So we don't have a dietitian certification. We are hoping in the future, soon, to be able to offer CEU credit for dietitians. So I think that should be clear. Okay, can you start with Impact Track if desired, asks Denise. It's available, right? From the day one?
Actually, that is unlocked completely. That's sitting there like a bonus. So you can access that right away and go through it as much as you like, at whatever speed you like.
Carol said, geesh, I can't wait to see how this improves my life and my family's. Wonderful. Wendy asked, when does the course begin? The moment you register. It begins and you can go at your pace. What should I do if I graduated as the certified coach last year? Asked Jennifer. Stay tuned. We'll be in touch over email. And let's see, lots of thank yous. William, during the impact module, can you pick more than one of the paths of entrepreneurship, employment, or change maker? Yes, you can do as many as you want or none of them, but you can do all three, absolutely, and a lot of people do. What does IIN stand for? Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And the program is wonderful. Thank you, says Isabel. Okay. All right. We got caught up. That's amazing. Let's move towards completion. So, before we go here, and thank you for staying on a little past our planned time. There were so many questions we wanted to get to. I want to say something that isn't about the program or the pricing or what happens next. I want to talk about what's just happened here. So 3 days ago, you showed up, or maybe some of you just came yesterday or today. Some of you came curious. Some of you came skeptical. Some came because someone you love is struggling and you felt called to do something about it. Some came because something in your own body or your own life has been asking you to pay attention. And you stayed. You're here right now. Not everybody has stayed, but you have stayed right here. You came back Saturday, you're here on Sunday, and that says something about you. Over these 3 days, you heard Dr. Clapper make the case for why food and lifestyle are the most powerful medicines we've got. You heard Nicole dismantle one of the most persistent myths in nutrition and give the truth about protein. You heard Howie explain why information alone almost never changes anybody and what actually does. You watched Tracy show you what whole person coaching looks and sounds like in practice. You heard coaches share what it felt like to transform their own lives and then turn around and help someone else do the same. You heard Melinda remind you that building something meaningful doesn't have to mean burning yourself down in the process. And in and through all of that, you may have done some exercises. You may have identified where you are. You may have let yourself imagine where you could go. You may have planted a seed. You may have named your strength and your accountability. You may have written something down that felt true. All of that matters. My dad, John Robbins, spent much of his life making the case that food and the way we live can change the world, not just as a theory, as a lived truth. Practiced one person at a time in kitchens and communities and conversations that most people never hear about. He believed that if enough people understood this, really understood it deeply enough to help others live it, the whole trajectory of human health could shift. I believe that too. I've spent much of my life believing it alongside him, and now that he's gone, I feel it more urgently than ever, and I believe it alongside you. The torch he carried is not mine alone. It belongs to everybody who chooses to pick it up. Maybe that's you. Maybe this weekend has told you something about that. Maybe the question isn't whether this work matters. You already know it does. Maybe the question is whether you're willing to say yes to your part in the great movement of our times. If you're ready to take the next step, the enrollment link is on the page. If you want to talk it through first, book a clarity call. That link is there too. And if you're not sure yet, don't wait too long. The replay will go out by email. You can sit with what you've taken in and let it settle. But remember, the workshop pricing closes tomorrow at midnight. And more than that, the people who need you don't have time to wait forever either. Just got to share a little comment from Michelle. She said, I highly recommend this program. If what you've heard occupies a place in your mind and space in your heart, you should join. As a 2026 graduate, I give the coaching certification 6 stars on a 5-star scale. Michelle, thank you. She said, absolutely zero regrets. I could balance the self-paced course with my work. You'll feel welcomed in this well-curated, professionally done program that supports different life and learning styles. Excellent, knowledgeable faculty and guest speakers. And FRN doesn't stop after graduation. The resources, tools, and connections remain available to me now and will last throughout my lifetime. Thank you, Michelle. That's beautiful. I want to give a thanks to you, all of our participants. I want to thank our extraordinary faculty. Tracy, thank you for building something this rigorous and this loving. Howie, thank you for making the science of change feel like coming home. Melinda, thank you for showing us what sustainable success actually looks like. McKinney, thank you for holding a space across all 3 days with such warmth and such skill. And to our alumni coaches and their clients who shared their stories, thank you for your honesty and your courage. You gave everybody in this event something they will carry forward. Friends, the replay will be available on this page, and we'll send it to you by email as well for all 3 days. And to everyone here, thank you, truly. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your attention, for your willingness to consider that you might have a role to play in something bigger, something beautiful. If you've ever imagined truly changing someone's life for the better, your own life, someone else's, maybe even an entire community, our coaches are doing it every day. You can too. Let's do this.
All of the instructors, I know how much heart and soul you all put into this, not just the generosity and the information, but I know from doing a lot of programming work how much it takes to put together a program of this caliber for all of us and have it work. So thank you. It was very user-friendly. You know, Makini, when you were leading us through that meditation, I just thought back to that why. And all I could see was love. And that's what brought me to this particular program, was that 3-day intro that you guys do. And by day 2, I was like, this is heart-centered. This is for me. So thank you all for that. And I think I have been vegan for so long, and I've been interested in nutrition for so long, but now I have the tools to serve the purpose that all that information and experience that I have gained has given me. I did not know how to coach before this. I wasn't sure what coaching was. I knew it was about helping people, but I had no idea how much it was about the active listening. I don't know if it was Howie or all of you have talked about just seeing each client, each person as their best self, and somebody who is amazingly capable and needs just space and applause and, whatever encouragement and love you can give them, and to co-create their best health. So I am the kind of coach that loves all my clients that I don't have yet, and sees them for the amazing, brilliant people that they are, and who has the best interest of each individual and this planet really at heart. And that's what I bring into every coaching session when I start doing them. So thank you, because I could not be that coach, that person, that stand, that space for other people, and that just constant love if I hadn't done this program and if I hadn't met all of you. So thanks.
I am so grateful to all of you. I wanted to call it Mr. Clapper or Dr. Clapper, but I think Dr. Clapper's gone off the call because I was trying to find him. So just for whatever it's worth, I was a patient of his over 10 years ago because he was in Santa Rosa, which is just about an hour from me. And I'd been already a long time vegan and wanted to have a pregnancy. And so he was so joyful and exuberant and like congratulating me, so excited that I wanted to bring a vegan kiddo into the world. And so now I have that kiddo. His name's Daniel. He was just trying to be in the camera a bit ago, but he's 10, still vegan, thriving, beautiful kiddo. So thank you to Dr. Clapper, to Lauren, to all the people behind the scenes, and we don't even know who you are. Melinda and all the other coaches on the videos are just amazing. Tracy, Nicole, Makini, Rowan, Howie, Brenda, Ocean, love you all so much. And to Ocean, your dad, John, just in creating this program with you, we are so blessed. So about 2 years ago this week, I completed my bachelor's and master's in dietetics. And about a year later, became a dietitian, took the test, and I graduated. That feeling doesn't even compare to today, to the love I feel with all of you and the connection and why we're here and just the excitement and the pride and just like this is, I just can't even describe how amazing. My mom I just came from a doctor's appointment. She has cancer and has a clear PET scan, and they're going to have like a breakfast together. And I was like, nope, I'm going to my graduation call. Like, I'm super excited. My mom's cancer free for right now and hopefully continues to be. But I just am so grateful for this space. I love you all so much. And I'm really excited to say that I'm not a dietitian that does coaching, like an RD. I am a coach that knows a little bit about nutrition, and just want to say, love you all so much and thank you.
Yeah, I entered this in the midst of very uncontrollable circumstances. I didn't know if I would get through it, but I did. And that really boosted my confidence. I feel less limited in opportunities that I would have otherwise thought, who do I think I am? Where do I think? Why am I doing this? So I feel much more open. The stretching of my comfort zone throughout this whole thing has been really quite an experience for me. So just even little steps, little by little, and each time it just boosts my confidence. It gives me more ability to say not no, but maybe, for the next step. So, and just in my own personal life, just it's really helped me in just personal things. So I faced a lot of fears, and I have stretched my comfort zone. So I would say that's the coach I've become at this point, and willing to let go of my own perfectionism and know that I do not have to have all the answers. I don't have to have the answers for myself. I can explore it as I go and then see how it unfolds. And I'm more willing to do that now.